All right. That's right. Scrubbing in. All right. Let's stop that one. There we go. Yeah, I'm pretty excited too. Let me check Discord, see if oh, nuts. Okay. Let me see if I can get Oops. Oh, we may have to actually, I just thought about it. Okay, there we go. I just thought about it. I think the channel I had in Discord is muted. It doesn't take much. That's the loudest alert we've got. I went to see a place today. Also, hi, Scott Roscoe. It's an old general store with attached 2-bedroom apartment. I'm just like, I can convert the whole store to an awesome living space. That would be pretty dope, actually. All right, let's see. Let me adjust one thing. Where is audio? Audio. Discord. Oh, dummy. All right, let me find Saint Imp. Okay. Send him a. Okay, let's see how this goes. For now, we'll just there we go. Okay, I do apologize for everything being black for a second. There we go. All right, now we're back.
Shut the f*** up, Steve!
Realtor also said, don't be afraid to make a low offer, lol. Not sure what that means. That means that the people really want to get rid of that place. Yeah, exactly.
Long,
Hi, MD. Cracking open an ice cold liquid death. Little mango chainsaw. For the evening. Truly delightful. Oh, what? Out of My Head by Churches? Yeah. Churches is good. Oh, absolutely, dude. I'm not a big fan of sparkling water, but Liquid Death makes a good sparkling water, so I can't complain about it. You did make it. I'm glad. Let's see. Up. All right, we're getting the voice chat and everything set up. Let's see. Let's see. Search for friends. This channel is private. Only select members and roles can be in this channel. To make sure that the permissions are on, so there we go. Okay. All right, let's see. We're just trying to get Saint Imp into the voice chat, and then we will kind of go from there. Yeah, there are a lot of factors that go into selling a house, like a short sale where the person has declared bankruptcy, and so they're trying to move it as quick as they can. There was a house I was looking at that was on short sale for exactly that reason. I'll wipe down the outside of this. All right, now I've got Discord set up. The volume should be just about as loud as I am. I'll turn it up as need be. As soon as he gets in the voice chat. Okay, he's getting a cup of tea. So let's let him do that, and we'll go from there. Oh my God, so many people. Let's say hi to my friend. Let's say hi to Scott Roscoe first.
Washing my pits.
Washing my pits. Washing my pits.
Could a bloke not get any bleeding privacy around here? Bunch of perverts, the lot of you.
I know so many amazing people, and you're one of them. All right. When last we left our heroes, nah, never stop. We never stop, never stopping. Yeah, I think we had all the base colors done, and we were slowly working on doing all the additional highlights and stuff for Hecaton. I think we're on to doing like washes and stuff like that. Castle. So how's everybody doing on this thirsty Thursday? Are you thirsty? So thirsty. Oh, great news. Insurance company gave me my meds, and now I can actually sleep. Well, that's good. I'll throw some black ink in here so we can get on to just eating dinner. What are we eating, MD? Tired, cranky creature's not a good thing. It was getting pretty bad there for a bit. I know how that is. I've got a real bad habit about getting irritated about something and it just like ruining my mood for like the rest of the day. Grilled chicken, llama beans, and mashed potatoes. I might have to do some grilled chicken this weekend. I think I've got some chicken. Yeah, we got chicken thighs, some chicken breasts in the freezer. I have a real bad habit of slinking up to friends, meowing, and biting them. I mean, is it a bad habit, though? Dink. Hey there, Froggenstein. Ickwolf. Heckaton, how's it going, my guy? We're actually working on your model right now. We actually worked on your model on last stream. We finished Drago Bancho's model and started on yours. Got a lot of the blocking done on it. Yeah. You got a big old backpack, though. You got a big old
Hello.
support backpack. Hey, it's Will.
Interesting.
All right.
Should we?
Let's see. Hold on. All right, I'm getting reverberation here. Let me see what the deal is. But welcome in, Will.
Hi there. It might be my end. One sec. Have a look.
About how the attachment style is like a cat. Now it could be. Let's see. Is it picking me up? Somebody in chat, let me know if you can, one, hear Will, and if two, you can hear me. We're working on a ghost keel. Oh. Ghost keel for Tau. Oh, good.
Yeah. I have not used. Well, I used the Ghost Kill once, and then that was when I played Tau a while ago.
Okay. So yep,
Yeah.
it looks like chat can hear you just fine. So this works.
Excellent. Hello.
So I know. I was like, I'm getting reverb. I realize what it is in the audio properties. I've got it to monitor and output, so I can hear both what chat hears and hear.
This makes a lot of sense.
There we go. That should be better. Okay.
Fantastic.
Yep, that sounds much better. There we go. Okay, good. Okay, so before we start the questions, Creature, I know you're excited. I don't know if you're in stream, Will.
I'm just finding the link. There you are. I was just trying to find it via your Insta.
Oh, okay.
I did an artist call out this week, so my Insta is just like 50 messages that I haven't read yet. So trying to like pass through to find our message, our chat. Yeah. But I found you, so I'm just loading the stream now.
Cool. Okay, we'll get you all in chat and or in stream, and we'll do a little introduction, and we'll kind of proceed from there. We're just going to keep it loose. We're not. There's no. You're the first guest I've ever had on stream.
Oh, cool.
I have done a collaboration with another streamer who challenged me to a speed painting contest. Didn't go well. He got it done really, really fast, but
I was going to ask who won.
I was going to say, I think he was finished in the 2 hours that we streamed. I think he was finished in the first 45 minutes, and it was like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and take my time with the rest of it then. So it was the next day before I actually finished the model. So
that is fair. I'm not really a speed painter. Yeah, I take my time.
Okay, so for everybody in chat, the person we have in chat with us, you want us to call you Will or Saint Imp?
Will's good.
Will is good. Okay, fantastic. So, I know I've done a little bit of talking about it over the past 2 streams ever since Will and I first started talking. And all of it came about, for those of you in chat who don't know, was just that I had posted some of the clips from the stream where we made the cult for Endless Horrors from Between the Stars on Instagram and TikTok, and started receiving a lot of positive feedback in messages about the content warning at the beginning of the book, in particular from a couple of trans streamers who follow me on TikTok, and just how they loved it. It made them feel safe. They really appreciated being seen and knowing that somebody out there in the gaming community specifically put that in there to let other people know that, like, this isn't a place for people who are going to discriminate. And yeah, so I just got to message Will and let him know that, and then we started talking, and so now he's here, and we've done 2 streams now for games that he has created. We have done a stream for Kill Sample Process when it came out last year off of Kickstarter, and then we did Endless Horrors the other Sunday. And everybody in chat, I know you guys really enjoyed creating the cult. That whole thing took off way better than I could have expected. But yeah, Will, if you want to go ahead and do a little introduction.
Yeah, happy to. Yeah, so hi everyone. Will, creator of the Forbidden Psalm line of games. The first one was Forbidden Psalm. I made that 4 years ago now, as a lockdown project so that I wouldn't go mad. And as you can tell from the writing, I failed pretty miserably. And it kind of spiraled from there. Like, that took off, became quite successful. Had like just such a positive response from it. We then did like a kind of big book expansion for that called In the Footsteps of the Mad Wizard, that carried the story of the original game on. And then I started, by that point, there was a kind of community building around the games, and started speaking to them about, okay, well, what settings and themes do you want me to explore? Like, people like this kind of core rule set we had, which was quite straightforward and basic to some extent. I don't mean that disparagingly, but it was like, it's quite easy to get your head into. I was like, okay, how do we take this rule set and this kind of approach to miniature gaming and give it different themes? And the first one that came up was a World War One theme that people like. There was a zeitgeist around that. There was a lot of World War One games kind of coming out at the time, and so at the beginning of that, kind of did Last War, and then we did a cyberpunk one, the Kill Sample Process. I then did one called Dread Knights, which is like a gothic horror game, very vampire-esque. I just happened to reread Dracula and decided to write a game, basically. And then Endless Horror from Between the Stars, which came out of me reading a Call of Cthulhu roleplay game, I'm not going to name which one, that had a content warning in the beginning. And it had a content warning about the fact that it was pulling from Lovecraft, who obviously was quite a horrific racist for most of his life. And it was apologizing. It was like saying that, he was a horrific racist, but we're going to use his stuff anyway. And I thought, well, let's try and make a cosmic horror game that doesn't reference Lovecraft. Let's make one that's all new content. And then that led to the kind of the first thing in the whole book that I wrote, which was that generator that you use to generate your own endless horror that you worship.
Yeah.
And the idea was that let's create a whole fresh way of approaching this and creating your own god. And because it's 3D 100 tables, essentially it's a million possible combinations, and that's where the term, like endless horror came from.
Yeah.
That led into the name of the book. And that's, yeah. So then there's a bunch of other things I've done, lots of little zines and things, lots of little mini games and other things across the 4 years I've been doing this. But yeah, it's been a really fun journey of just getting to write weird little miniatures games and getting feedback from people, which has been, overwhelmingly positive. So yeah, I feel quite lucky to get to do this as kind of part of my career.
Okay. Horrors, dummy. I forgot to punch in the right. Let's do this. Okay. Apparently my fingers are not working here. I'm trying to do this. There we go. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to pin a link up at the top of chat for everybody.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, nice little link. And guys, just like any other time that I've promoted anything, I'm not getting anything for this. I don't support people in the expectation of receiving anything back. This is just, I saw the game. It was when In the Footsteps of the Mad Wizard came out, and Miniature Game Montage, and I believe oh god, there's another guy. I haven't watched any of his videos in a while. He's very country. He's probably from here in the South where I'm at, judging by his accent. But they both did breakdowns on how to create your guild or how to create your group. and did a whole walkthrough on it. And one of the guys, I know the name of his YouTube channel is Let Me Talk At You, which is a very, very southern way to say, let me tell you something. But yeah, I saw both their videos, and it was like, oh wow, that's really cool. It's like Mordheim, but way more abstract, way more flexible, because you can kind of do what you want. There's not a set, like, this is what you have to do, these are the models you have to use. And I think that was the part that I appreciated the most, was not being boxed into, oh, well, if you want to play this game and you want to play with a bunch of people, then you all need to go out and buy a $50 box of models and this, that, and the other thing.
Yep.
Whereas I can buy a $10 to $20 book, depending on the format, and I've got a mountain of miniatures that I can use for the game. So, but yeah, seeing that, and then hearing they started talking about, he's got a upcoming Kickstarter for Kill Sample Process, which is the same system but set in Cyberpunk, and it was like, yeah, you don't have to say anything else. I know what I'm getting. So, yeah, I was really excited for both of those. Now, we did already have one question that somebody said is not serious but is also serious, which is, what kind of tea are you having?
This is just standard British kind of breakfast tea.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I drink Earl Grey, sometimes I have herbal.
Yeah.
But this is just quite boring ass British tea.
That's actually my preferred kind.
Right.
My mom and her side of the family is from England. So we were raised on having a cup of tea at night.
Right. Can I ask, do you have a kettle? Because this is a thing that's amazed me about Americans, is that you don't have kettles.
We have never not had a kettle. Like,
okay, this is good.
When our last one broke, there was a bit of panic in the house of where are we going to get another kettle by tonight, and it was like, oh wait, right up the street we can. Oh, okay. Apparently, Creature said you are approved, so apparently your type of tea works for Creature.
That's good.
MD's got a kettle as well. Scott Roscoe.
This is good.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. Like, I'm in a crowd of people that have kettles. Right? This is great. I like you all. It really disturbed me when I found out the majority of Americans didn't have kettles. Like, how the fuck do you boil water?
Yeah. Like, you boil it in a pot like you would water for making pasta.
That's insane.
Now that is when we make sweet tea, which is just, pretty much only a southern thing. You won't find sweet tea many other places. Helium has an electric kettle. Does that count? A kettle is a kettle.
Yeah, a kettle's a kettle. If it boils water, if its sole purpose is to boil water, then you're good.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
But yeah, like I said, my mom is from Huyton. And so, and whenever people, where? And I'm like, just say Liverpool. Liverpool's good enough. Oh, I know Liverpool. Okay.
See, I know where it is because I'm Welsh. I'm a South Walian, but North Wales borders like basically next to Liverpool, so
yeah,
that region I know like decently well as a result.
And that's last time I spoke with my uncle. He was and when we went when we went and stayed over there at his house in 2012, he was living in Wales. He was living in Pantwyn. And so yeah, been there. And Creature, you judge a person by their hair? What?
Yes, not a hard judgment.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was gonna say hair or lack thereof. Okay, so now we have the tea situation. Everybody approves, and apparently pretty much everybody in our chat has a kettle, so we know we're in good company now.
Very good company. I'm here for this.
So the next question. So you said that and chat, you guys feel free to throw questions out there. This is an open forum, but you said the idea for Forbidden Psalm came from like just trying to keep from going insane during COVID. But what motivated you to actually create your own game? Like, and specifically a game that is, and I don't want to use this as a reference, but it is my only real frame of reference for the style, would be Mordheim.
Yeah. So here's the funny thing. I at that point had never played Mordheim.
Okay.
Um, and I get that reference, like I get that kind of comparison a lot, but generally had never played it. I'd played a lot of tabletop games. I'd come from a background of being a role player, so much more doing Dungeons and Dragons when I was like a teenager, and then playing other role playing games as I got older, so Call of Cthulhu and a whole bunch of others. And one of the roleplay games that I played was this Swedish death metal game called Morkborg, which I'm mispronouncing because I'm terrible at the Swedish pronunciation of it. And that's what Forbidden Psalm is based off of. It's based off that rule set, and it's basically I
Okay.
reached out to them and said, "Hey, have you guys considered making this into a miniatures game?" And they said, "No, you do it." They're very punk. The license for it is open, so anyone can make content for it. And I decided to make Forbidden Psalm, which is essentially it's derived from their roleplay game and turned it into this miniatures game.
Okay. Okay.
And it came from a desire that what I was finding in the miniatures games I was playing was that they had these wonderful stories. Like 40k, whether you like the story or not, has this rich tapestry of a story, and when you play the game, the story is left in the books. It doesn't come to the tabletop. The tabletop is very mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get that narrative really playing it unless you try and bring it and force it in. The rules don't encourage it in. So I wanted to try and create a miniatures game where two things, that was a core principle, was let's make a game that brings the narrative to the tabletop and is narrative throughout every action you're taking on the tabletop. And then the second kind of core principle was fun through failure. I'd just come off the back of playing a Necromunda campaign, in which Necromunda, my big gripe with it is the minute you start losing, it stops being as fun because your gang starts to suffer compared to other gangs. There isn't a great catch-up mechanic except for like, oh, bring in some mercenary that or buy some extra equipment or stuff, which doesn't really add to the kind of story of your gang, right?
Yeah.
So when I created Forbidden Psalm, the first game, those were the two key principles I built it off of. Was that it had to be about telling stories, and it had to be fun when you lost. And so just some of the design decisions were around that. So that's why one of the first things was the flaws. Every character gets a flaw. So immediately you're instructed to make your characters worse
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have fun doing it. Hopefully. And then the second thing was, when one of your characters dies, you get a new one for free. So there isn't actually any loss to losing people.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like some of the decisions around how the game worked. You get XP if somebody dies. If one of your warband members die, you get XP. So having them die is not necessarily a bad thing. You actually benefit from it.
Yeah.
So a lot of the design decisions in the game came from that principle of like, I want this game to be fun when you lose.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's kind of what spurred me because there weren't any miniatures games out there where I felt that was the case. Like even the games I love, like Frostgrave, Necromunda, games like that, which I still have fun playing, they don't have that kind of feel to it. The minute you start losing, you get into that feel bad situation. And again, the narrative that are in the books, I just never felt them on the tabletop when I was playing. I always felt that the tabletop was much more of a mechanical thing, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I am a now I don't really have anywhere to play.
Hmm.
There are places in town, but extenuating circumstances make it to where I can't go and just play whenever I want to. But I love Necromunda. I love the lore. Um, I'm a big fan of the. It's along the lines of Forbidden Psalm in that there is no real wrong miniatures you can use. That the tag that goes around now on social media of every model is a Necromunda model.
Yeah.
But yes, the amount of times that I've listened to podcasts and
Shut the f up, Steve!
oh hey Grey Knight, oh good, we're gonna be playing a game in just a few. But yeah, the amount of times that I've heard people talk about the death spiral in Necromunda, where it's like one guy goes down, and then it starts getting worse as it goes on. You start losing more and more and more people, and eventually you pretty much just have to quit and start over again because you've lost more than you can ever recuperate.
Yeah.
And now All right. 1 second. Since Grey Knight is here, and Dark Angel's here too. Oh, okay. First things first, Dark Angel, what is your favorite color, please, when you have a second?
Nothing
Rhinoc
big
89.
ol' hug and kiss from you won't fix.
Ugh,
Open up now,
no.
like a good girl.
Okay. Creepy.
That's it.
All right. You said green. Okay, and in an RPG game, Dark Angel, what class do you prefer to play? Do you prefer to play melee, ranged, or support? Green. Yes, this is Tank from Cowboy Bebop. Yeah. Let's see. I like swords, but I like to heal. So Paladin type. 10-4. That's all I needed to know because in case you didn't know Dark Angel, I didn't get to cover it on the last stream. Anybody who is a new subscriber to the channel gets a lab rat model printed in their honor, whether they subscribe themselves or, in your case, from Professor Grimm, being the generous person that he is, gifting you a subscription means you get added to the lab rat army. We're now up to 22 cyborg lab rats. I don't really have any use for them. They just get put up on my shelf and displayed on social media, and yeah, apparently it's never going to end because every time I get close to finishing one, another person subs, and then I have to print another model out. So yes, yeah, it's a lab rat army, which is nice though because it can be used in games like Forbidden Salt, the stuff that we're talking about tonight. You son of a Icklehoof. Okay. It's never going to end. Okay. Now, fortunately, MD already has her mini, and apparently my alerts are just going to crap themselves. So I do need to get in touch with Demon Seed. I'll shoot him a message on Discord. Where's my damn paper? All right, we're taking a slight detour here from doing what we were planning on doing. Okay. This is a pretty standard stuff for this stream, though, is getting detoured like this. Okay, so Demon Seed and Dark Angel, which is a good thing I'm running the printers this weekend, so. And then Joe _NM. Alrighty, thank you for all the gift subs, the Icklehoof. I appreciate that. You are far too generous, ma'am. Okay. So. Oh god, I've got to scroll down so far. Okay, so Joe NM, since you are in chat, Joe, what is your favorite color, and what is your preferred class in an RPG? I need those so I know what to print as well. So I got at least 3 lab rats to print this weekend. Okay, now having said all of that, we're going to start getting back on track here. Let's see if we can get this sorted out. Okay, so as everybody knows, Grey Knight's in chat. We are going to give it 5 minutes, and then we are going to go ahead and play our game. We'll keep on chatting with Will from Forbidden Psalm, who is in chat with us tonight. We have a special guest here on stream. So, we were just discussing inspiration. Right.
Yeah.
89.
I saw a question from Creature about the art in the game. So the art is incredible. Thank you very much. How much influence do you have with the art? So basically, I do all the writing, all the design, all the layout, all the art direction is me. Some of the art is mine. some of it is I work with other artists. I've been really lucky to work with a range of different artists across the different books. The most recent book, Endless Horrors from Between the Stars, that we're literally sending off to print in the next couple of days, which is quite exciting. That was one artist. We decided for that book to just work with one, which was an artist called Vil. Vil is incredible, works super fast. And what we did for this book is we generated from the generating tables in the book. So from the 3 D100 tables that you can use to generate your own cosmic horror, we generated 10 cosmic horrors, and we just gave those prompts to Vil and just said, draw whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
And that's how we ended up with those pieces of art that are in the book. Was they are generated from that table, so you can actually generate those and make them your own kind of horrors as well from the tables.
Yeah.
And then for other books, it's been a case of reaching out, putting out requests for artists on Discord, Instagram, places. I just done one for a future book and I got about 50 responses. So I've been going through about 50 artist portfolios the last couple of days and selecting which artists I'm going to work with for the next book, which is really fun. It's a great kind of part of the role. And yeah, so it's the kind of the design, the layout, the kind of art direction is mine. And it's one of the most fun parts of the project for me is actually, what really sets a miniatures game apart from other miniatures games isn't so much, particularly miniatures agnostic games where you're not telling people to use a specific type of mini.
Yes.
It is the art, it is the layout, more than the words. That's what tells people the kind of game you're playing. And yeah, that's the thing that really sells the game to your audience and gets them to understand the kind of game you're playing.
I think miniature agnostic is now becoming a more common term in the gaming community because a lot of the times I don't have to explain it anymore. The first last year when Demon Seed, just kind of pick melee, ranged, or support, and I will go from there. Artificer, I imagine, would be support. Don't worry, Dark Angel. It'll all make sense in a little bit. I guess support. Okay, cool. Yeah, and that's the pink and support. Yeah, the first few times when I heard about Kill Sample Process and I started talking about it in like other people's streams and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, what is that?" And I'd explain, and I'd say, "Oh, it's a miniature agnostic game," and they're like, "What the hell is that?" And it's like, "Oh God, okay, it's a game where you're not limited by miniatures of a specific brand or anything like that." And I know some of these companies do. Is it Moon? What is it? Moon something? Moon Glow? Moonstone? I can't think of it. It's a fantasy based, more lighthearted miniature agnostic game, and they have their own brand, but you don't have to use those.
Correct. Yeah.
And I like the fact that people are getting into that and bigger companies like One Page Rules is another one that, yeah, I mean, One Page Rules even says, like, if you want to use Gundam models for this army, you can do that. We don't care. Yeah. And I think I don't have a grudge against Games Workshop. Like, I don't dislike Games Workshop. But when it comes to, like, people are like, oh, what should I do? What model should I get, or this, or, do you recommend a game? I generally stray away from that. They don't need they don't need my publicity to keep doing what they're doing. And I would prefer people get into other things. So, because somebody, I
agree with that.
Yeah. Another streamer referred to me as an independent miniature painter. Because I generally try and promote smaller companies, and so if I can do that at any point in time and not say, yo, yeah, you should get into Warhammer, then I will take every opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I fully agree. And like when I created the Forbidden Psalm range, it was the principle was also around cost. That was actually another thing that I kind of factored in. And if you go look at the very first book I made, the very first edition of Forbidden Psalm, all the weapons are the weapons you find on a Frostgrave sprue. The reason that your warband is 5 characters is because then you could buy a single Frostgrave sprue on eBay for £6, and you
if
had
you are
everything you
watching
needed
this
to make a warband
after
for
somebody
this game.
Okay.
That was like
clip this,
that was one of the kind of design things I
want
did
you
in
to
the first
know,
game, was
I
the idea
don't
that
go
I want this to be a
out
cheap
to
point of
do
entry for
this.
people. I
I
want people to be able
don't
to
go
go
and actually
and get, you know, the
try
smallest
getting
amount of
free
things they
packs.
need to play
They
this
just
game.
love
We
me.
even put, you know, paper standees in the back. I've had people play the game with Lego figures, with all sorts, and I really encourage that as well. This hobby can be quite expensive, and it can be a luxury hobby, and there are definitely times and places where that, you know, is warranted and desired, like, you know, 40k and other things, these big games. But it's really nice to be able to actually also create a point of entry for people to play this game without needing to put forward a huge cost. And particularly being an independent game without the huge marketing behind Games Workshop, and I charge for the rules because it's the thing I'm creating. Wanting it that people aren't putting a huge amount of money out, because then if they play the game and they don't like it, or they play the game and it's not quite for them, you know, you don't want to have people have put a huge investment in, and then suddenly, like, if you're playing 40k, and again, this is not disparaging Games Workshop, but if you're playing 40k and you decide you want to try a new army out, you're putting a lot of money behind something you're not quite sure you're going to like.
Yes.
And that can be, you know, an intimidating prospect. So having a game where that wasn't the case, where you've got quite a low barrier to entry and cost, was really important to me. And you know, the thing about being mission agnostic, if you're looking at my game, you probably have some minis. Just use those. Just
Yeah.
grab
Very
the things
true.
off your shelf and use those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we've got to stop for just a second because it is time to play. Let's clear this out. Also, welcome in, Professor Grimm. I gave you a shout out, but I didn't say, hey, I don't want to be rude. We don't do rude around here. But everybody in chat knows what time it is, and Will is here for this as well. So it's time to play everybody's favorite part of the stream. It's time to play our favoriteest game in the whole wide world, and that is...
Now tell me, where in the world is Grey Knight?
That's right, everybody. It's time to play Where in the World is Grey Knight. It is a part of the stream where we, the viewers, try and guess where in the continental U.S. our illustrious truck-driving Grey Knight 40K could be today. So, if you've never been here before, I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock. There is no way of knowing. It's literally just a guessing game. You pick a state in the continental U.S., so no Alaska, no Hawaii, and you take a guess as to where you think Grey Knight 40K might be tonight, because every time she ever tuned into stream for a while, she was in a different state, and it was like, we ought to make this a game, like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? And it was like, oh my god, that's it. So that's where the entire idea came from. It was just a random thought. So let's start the 5 minutes on the clock. I'm already seeing guesses. Dark Angel is guessing Iowa.
I was going to say Iowa.
And it's a little bit...
Taking my guess.
Well, now, and multiple people can guess, because you can have multiple winners.
I see.
All right, we got MD, that's me, is going with... The music did not start. Why did the music not start back? There we go. Okay. Okay, so we got Dark Angel coming in with Iowa. Creature says Colorado. Okay. Could be worse. You could see the clip I did today. Even Twitch decided it was so bad. URL for it was a heartless, clever pony. Okay. MD is guessing Alabama. Particularly Sweet Home, Alabama. All right, we got 2 guesses for Alabama. We got 1 for Idaho. We've got Professor Grimm coming in with Tennessee. Eaglehoof says, never come to Iowa. Dang. Iowa sucks. Joe NM is going with Georgia. And let's see. Demon Seed is coming in with Arkansas. Ickelhof has Minnesota. Let's see. To the plot in the U.S. where she can be in 4 states at the exact same time. I live here and I can say that. Oh, okay. Okay, so we got all those guesses. My fail-safe is always Oklahoma. I always go with Oklahoma just for the heck of it. And Rhynock89 is guessing Rhode Island. Why not? Spread it out. I think this might be the most guesses we've had so far. I love Rhode Island is so tiny it looks like a paint spatter on my my palette over here. Oh Lord. And feel free to guess, Will, if you're familiar enough with the U.S. states.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ohio is what came to my mind for some reason. So I'm gonna also go Ohio.
Okay.
I couldn't give you a reason why, other than that's the first state that came to mind when you said it.
Fair enough. All right. I trust Rhode Island to get the job done. Oh, look at you, Rhynock. Awfully confident. Yeah, it's funny. It just we were I was streaming as normal. Grey Knight followed, and it was like, oh, just parked for the night. And it was like, oh, you traveling? I said, yeah, I'm a truck driver. And it was like, oh, cool. I deal with truck drivers every day. I work in logistics. And it was like, oh, where are you parked at, if you don't mind telling? It was like, oh, I'm in Minnesota or wherever it was at the time, or California, I think. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then the next time I streamed, Grey Knight came back in, and it was like, so you still in California? Oh, no, I'm over in Colorado. And it was like, oh, cool. And after 3 or 4 streams, it was like, we ought to do something with this. We ought to make this into a game. And then I thought of that, and so I went in and spent way too much time out of my work day taking a map of the U.S. and photoshopping it into small sections so that I could load each one of the states on the map on the screen. And then designing the logo, taking the Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego logo and putting a Grey Knight in her place and the word Grey Knight 40K in the other place, and then doing the theme song, learning how to edit sound and video and everything else, all for a game that we play for 5 minutes on stream. I spent like 6 hours learning how to do stuff like Photoshop. So yeah, that's right, Helium. That's the only reason that my best friend comes to my stream. Helium, thank you. I appreciate that. You nerd. So yeah, it was just a random thing that we started doing, and as you see, there's a pretty decent amount of people who will show up and get involved. And I haven't created. Wow, seriously committed to the bit, go you? Yeah, I mean, I really, and this is something that I was telling Drago Bancho when he said, I bet you can't make a lab rat. Put a lot into it, and I'm proud of him. Frog's come a long way since he started. Yeah, since in the almost 2 years that I've been streaming, you should see my first streams. They were so bad. The quality was so bad. The sound was horrible. The interface was just like the worst thing I could come up with. My background was just white paper towels because I didn't have a cutting mat or anything else. So yeah, I put a lot of work into this, but yeah, I told Drago Bancho when he said, if you can design a 3D model of a lab rat that looks like a character from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, that I would subscribe to your channel. And it was like, oh, you foolish fool. You have no idea how passionate I get about things. And I sure as hell did. I sure as hell designed a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure mixed with a lab rat. Strangest thing I've ever done. Okay, so timer's up. So let's get that drum roll, please, and we will find out from Grey Knight where you are in the world today. Today I'm in
Hey!
Ohio. That's one of my favorite places to be because it is where me and my husband got our cats that died around a year ago. Oh, that went from a beautiful story to a sad story instantly in the same sentence.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
So
if you want
we-
them immortalized in a game, give me their name and I'll put them in the next book.
If you say again,
They give me the name of their cats, I'll put them in the next book. I need some like animal names, so
okay.
pick me your names.
Grey Knight, what is it? What was the name of your cat? Because Will wants to immortalize your cat in his next tabletop game that he's working on. And also, congratulations to Will because he guessed Ohio. Sorry about your cat. Cat's name was Willow. Cool.
Cool.
Oh, we forgot the celebration noises. All right. That's enough of this nonsense. All right, let me clear this map out. Oh, congratulations, Will. We're keeping an arbitrary tally of all of the states and winners. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I might do a little giveaway at the end of the year to the person who has gotten the most. So, I live in Pennsylvania, less than a mile from the Ohio border. Okay. And her St. Bernard's name is Buckeye, if that helps, a breed of dog.
I took that in as well.
Oops, turn off my sound alerts. MD, you know, that happens a lot. The new Twitch app randomly does that. It will just shoot you into somebody else's stream, and not even necessarily somebody you follow. I've had that happen multiple times, where all of a sudden I'm in Scott Roscoe's stream, and then I hear somebody else's voice. I'm like, what the hell is that? And look, and sure enough, I'm in some stream I've never heard of before. Love them. Right? Oh, okay. So let me grab the models. 1 second. I'll grab the kill sample process models I made off of some of my viewers from Twitch, and I'll grab my lab rats so Dark Angel can see.
Amazing.
Give me 1 second.
Well, you're left with me at the moment. If anyone's got any questions about the games, game design, anything, I'm happy to answer. Just reading chat. Oh, I just thought it'd be a nice little thing to put kind of your animals in if you'd like me to. I don't have to, but I just thought we could. So in the next game, there's going to be animal companions as a thing. So I could put them in as a nice thing. What got you into game design? I mentioned earlier, basically, I started just writing stuff at the beginning of lockdown. I was going a bit stir crazy, being stuck at home. My career often involves talking to people, being out and about in meetings and things, and suddenly I was not able to do that. So it was a good way to keep myself sane.
Okay. Grey Knight said, "Why do you want my cat in your story or book?"
Yeah, I while you were away, answered so that it'd be a nice thing to immortalize them if they would like them.
That one and Professor Grimm's question. I just heard you respond to that. How do you
Yeah.
come up with the fun details like maggots for blood, etc.? It makes me giggle at the combo we ended up getting.
Honestly, I wish I knew why my brain came up with the things my brain comes up with. A combination of ADHD and a lack of sleep, I think, is the honest answer. No, I've always been like a storyteller. I've always enjoyed writing stories and coming up with ideas. I've played role play games, always the GM, never the player. And storytelling is kind of just something I enjoy. I really enjoy doing. So sitting down and like coming up with ideas. So the D100 tables for your Endless Horror was one of the most fun things I've had. Just sitting there, working it out. Yeah, and just trying to figure out like what these Endless Horrors desires were, their purposes were, and coming up with 100. And some of them were just silly jokes that came to myself. Like my favorite is the one that's 99 red balloons. The number is 99 if you roll the 99, and it wants red balloons. Of course it does, because it's 99 red balloons. The song. Yeah.
The first horror that I rolled up, when the rules came out, I was at work and I downloaded them, opened them up, started just reading through, and I have a random number generator on my stream, and so I generated and it got 99, and I was like, red balloons. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Between that one and Comic Sans, it desires Comic Sans. I was just
I wish I could take credit for the Comic Sans one. That was actually a partner of mine that came up with that one. And when they said it, I was like, yeah, that's going in the book. And then, you know, having that be the only time the font is changed in that entire thing to use Comic Sans was just, I just had to do it.
Yeah.
Because I knew there'd be people that would be real mad about it. Yeah.
All right. Dark Angel, you were asking what your mother's lab rat model looks like. This is Grey Knight 40k as a lab rat.
Nice.
So she's pretty much 100% cybernetic, save for her right arm. Everything else is a cyborg. Most of the other ones have little humany bits or little rat bits on them. They're not entirely robotic, but so like this one, this is for somebody named German for Vermin, who got a gift sub. His is pretty much all rat with just mechanical hands. So, nice. Yeah, that's what we do when somebody subscribes or gets gifted a sub. We get their name, we get their favorite class and color, and I print them out from Station Forge, and now we have this huge collection of rats. It started as I have 5 regular subscribers, and so I figured I'd do something nice. And then chat decided they were going to be funny and started gifting subs left, right, and crooked. And next thing you know, I'm up to 23 subs or so. And I'm not complaining about that, but it was like, I never anticipated it would go this far. And if I had known, I probably would have chosen less complicated models. But
I love this.
We've gotten pretty, and then there have been 1 or 2. I try and customize one for each person based on their personality from what I know of them. So this was the most recent one. This was Drago Bancho. He's another streamer from Singapore. And he's really into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And he said, if you can make a lab rat that looks like a character from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I'll subscribe. And
amazing.
The foolish fool did not know how far I'm willing to go for a challenge like that. So I made a character in a big old trench coat with a whole bunch of belt buckles and a whole bunch of... He's got like a coat and an overshirt and an undercoat and a scarf on. So it fits the aesthetic. But yes, everybody ends up as a lab rat at some point in time. Let's see, we had a question from Joe MN. Will just got back into the hobby after 40 plus years. In designing, do you feel you have any blind spots or no-go zones?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. In terms of blind spots, there are certain types of games that don't appeal to me or I don't play myself. So in those cases, you know, those are the kind of games that I'm not going to necessarily design because I don't feel like I have an expertise or a background in doing that. In terms of the kind of no-go zones, it's more thematically no-go zones than a game no-go zone. And what I mean by that is there are certain topics that I just wouldn't approach. I get asked a lot to do a Western version, like a Wild West version. I'm a white dude from Wales. Like, I don't have really the cultural understanding or background to understand what a Wild West game should be, shouldn't be. The chances that I create something that's, you know, offensive or problematic.
Yeah.
It's quite high, to be honest. So that's the thing where I'm like, actually, that's not my space to make that game. The rules are there, and the Forbidden Psalm rules are written that they're open source, so anyone can take those core rules and make your own game. So if there are people with more affiliation with a particular area of the world, they want to bring in a particular story to it, narrative to it, they totally can. That's completely open. You can totally do that. So yeah, there are certain things that I wouldn't put in my games narratively and as the theme, just because I don't have a connection to those things. Yeah, otherwise not really. I think the other blind spot I probably have is I struggle to make things entirely seriously. I have a very silly sense of humor, and that comes across in my games, I think. Even writing a cosmic horror one that's meant to be very scary and very cosmic horror and woo, and I've got jokes in there about comic sans and balloons and wooden ducks. Because that's just my personality, and it makes me giggle.
You said the wooden ducks, and that reminded me. Now, is that a reference to anything in particular?
I met my editor in person the other day. I went to Tabletop Scotland, and they live in Scotland, so we met up and we hung out, and they asked me the same question because they were like, "Why are there ducks throughout this book?" And the reason there are ducks throughout the book is simply because my partner likes ducks. There is no other reason. There is no reference.
Okay.
It's not some deep thing. It was just a silly off-the-cuff thing, and then I decided to put them in. And what I did was I decided that ducks were secretly a cosmic horror.
Okay.
And that's why they're in the book. And then there's one of the cosmic horrors that wants you to have wooden ducks.
Yes.
So if your characters are carrying wooden ducks, you get benefits.
Yeah.
But it means you're losing an equipment slot because you're having to carry this stupid little wooden duck around. And that was it. They serve no other purpose other than to satisfy my very, very stupid sense of humor.
Okay, because when I first brought it up, my daughter likes the cartoon Has-Been Hotel. Is it Has-Been Hotel Monkey, or is it Hello Boss?
It Has Been Hotel. Yes, the Lucifer is making ducks.
Yes. And that's my daughter was like, "Is it a reference to that?" And I was like, "I don't know, but one day we'll find out."
No, I got someone else asked me the same thing, and I wish it was that smart. It's way dumber
It's not.
than a reference to Has Been. And I actually quite enjoy Has Been. I watched it with my kid. My kid really loves it. So yeah.
Let's see. Now we did have another quote. Well, there was Professor Grimm said, so someone posted a challenge to design a game out of a model box, and it got me thinking of trying to create a game that a streamer can play versus their chat. Does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah, I think so. I'll talk about the one box challenge in a minute, because I've actually done a game for that I'll talk about, which is a very dumb thing.
Okay.
But the idea of a game that you can play against a streamer, 100% that could work. I think you just need to come up with the mechanics for it, make sure they're fun, play test it, and take a bash at it. That sounds like quite a fun game to play. In terms of the one box challenge, so the War Games Atlantic, who have just published a box set for Last War. So the Forbidden Psalm Last War game that I made a couple of years ago. I've been talking to them for about a year about making a box set where they put sprues of their Russians, their Brits, their German, and their French, I think it is, in the box with my rulebook. So it's just the same rulebook that we've had with some tweaks and changes, little kind of spelling errors fixed and things like that, with some tokens, some dice, and some extra sprues of upgrade kits. So there's upgrade for Weird World War. So there's weird masks, there's some trench maggots, which are one of the monsters in the game, on the sprue. And they've just put that box set out. So it's the first box set where you've actually been able to get my rules with some minis. The games are still minis agnostic, but it's that case of, but hey, if you want to use War Games Atlantic minis, which are very good minis, then you can. And off the back of kind of that, and then releasing some other box games, they've put a challenge out, which was to make a rule system for one of their boxes. So you pick any one of their boxes, and then you can write a rule system for it. And they're running a competition at the moment where they're going to publish the winner. So I'm not entering the competition, but I decided to play along and make my own game alongside. But I didn't want to pick one of the boxes that everyone else was picking. And War Games Atlantic make a box of horses that are meant to be supplementary to their other boxes, so that you can have people riding horses. And I decided to make Horse Wars, which is a miniatures game entirely about horses. It is the tagline for it is "The age of man has ended, the age of horse has begun." It is set in the apocalyptic world where only horses are left. You each have 9 horses in your warband. They're part of horse kingdoms. One of the horse kingdoms is the horse wizards. You have to make little wizard hats for your horses. You're not allowed to glue them on. You have to rest them on your minis, and if they ever fall off, your horse is no longer a wizard.
Okay.
It's a very silly game that I've made.
I would
It's
say
free.
I downloaded the rules for Horse War when I saw them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was very silly.
It's very silly.
Okay, so let's see. There's a little bit. Chat is moving way faster than normal. Okay. Okay, so good night, Dark Angel. I know he's probably already gone by this point in time. The best monster in all of Forbidden Psalm books is the laser chicken. And see, I think the laser cat, and that's, or was, no, laser cat is from a creator. They made a model of a laser cat, which is from a educational series that my son and my daughter both really enjoyed. Or no, it's a spider cat, excuse me.
The laser chicken was drawn by my kid. My eldest kid drew that.
Okay.
And they drew a chicken wearing a tutu with lasers coming out of its eyes. So I added it to the game, of course.
Fantastic.
Because it's a very serious game.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, who was it? MD said, Froggenstein, do you remember when me and Creature mentioned that Todd needs a cat for a pet? Yes, I do. I do, MD. I don't know where you're going with that. All right, good night, Icklehoof. Let's see. Neil. Yeah. Gotta go to bed. You want to play this game? Oh yeah, Icklehoof. You can totally, and the rules are free. You can share.
Right there for free.
Yeah, you can share a link, or if it's up on the Forbidden Psalm page.
It's not up on Forbidden Psalm yet, so let me just grab the link for Horsewheel for you. It's just a Google Drive link at the moment, but because it is a playtest doc at the moment, you will notice most of the rules are just horse-based puns.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was looking at him one day and was like, "Oh, Icklehoof is gonna love this." Icklehoof's got a big thing for horses and My Little Pony and unicorns. Creature, oh my God, Frog, MD and I have been chatting. Okay, MD and you have been chatting, or all three of us have been chatting. Which one? Okay, now we're all caught up on chat. I think we're all caught up on chat and questions finally.
I'm just logging
in. What about
in
the cults? About the cult, MD and myself. Okay. Please continue, Creature. You have my full attention. Me and Creature were coming up with an idea for Todd, and I came up with the idea that the hairless cat as Todd's pet, but the cat can turn into a beast to protect Todd because he can't wield a weapon. Saint Opt, thank you for the follow.
That is me.
Yeah.
Johnny in.
256 followers. But here's the thing, you guys, is that Todd doesn't need a weapon because Todd is feral and has a bite attack and can also cast spells.
Good combo.
So he's got. I know you said you watched the stream where we created the cult of the harrowing infamy that wants to paint the town red with blood.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I really loved that you usurped the cult leader before you even begun, which is a very that was a fantastic thing.
That was one of the best things I think in all my years of gaming, was the rolling up, getting the names, getting to Todd. Creature said, specifically said, wouldn't it be crazy if Todd ended up becoming the cult leader? And then it was like, all of a sudden it was just, all hail Todd, and it was like, Okay, well, I guess I know where we're going with this. So,
Yeah.
um,
I'm very much here for narrative before you even started playing the game.
yes, and I have been working on. I'm no author, but I have been slowly working on an actual story to accompany the entire thing of
Oh,
how
amazing.
Todd came to power. Um, along the
I love
lines of
this.
Wilkes was the leader and was claiming to have visions, and essentially was just using it as a way of empowering himself. And then Todd stepped forward and was like, okay, let me show you what it really means. And, usurped him. And now what I did do also, because one of my viewers, Pawninator, I'm tired, had a long drive. All right, get some good sleep, Grey Knight. Thank you for stopping by. But Frog, hairless cat, though, there will be a hairless cat. Don't you even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. I will print out a hairless cat model, and it will be on Todd's base.
Amazing.
But yeah, since one of my viewers, Pawninator, rolled Wilkes, and he was kind of unhappy that Wilkes got usurped before we'd even finished making the cult. So I decided to roll up a cult for Wilkes as well, and then can play versus mode and have Wilkes' cult come back and see how things go. The sad part is that when I was rolling Wilkes, and all this was done legitimate rolls, using using my actual dice, that Wilkes got, your god is not listening. He's also delicious. So he has, the two negatives. Oh, and Holy Blade. So if he ever loses his dagger, he is boned. And then if he ever gets downed and there are any horrors on the table, he'll get killed as well. What was the other one? Oh, and then one of the guys got natural leader, so in the event that anything happens to Wilkes, somebody else is going to immediately step up in his place. I was like, this guy can't catch a friggin' break, man. Wilkes has the hardest life I've ever heard.
I just love that he's the worst cult leader.
Yes, he's the absolute worst cult leader, and it's not even his fault. It's just circumstance. But yeah, and now
a bad time.
The other one that we did, and this was last year. Nope, poor Wilkes. You know what? I'm so happy that I made Todd's teeth share in the drawing. When are you going to sharpen the drawing? When are you going to share that picture, by the way? When are you going to share the picture of the concept sketch of Wilkes? Or Todd, I mean. Now, last year, when Kill Sample Process came out, and I read about it, because I love cyberpunk and I love futuristic stuff more than fantasy. And so I created a warband. We did the exact same thing. I wrote the dice rolling script for chat and had people in here. And that was back when my viewers were about usually 3 to 5, and it was usually the same 5 people. So they got to roll up the 5 characters for the gang and Kill Sample Process. So we had, and these are of course all on my social media, but we had Icklehoof, who was the counter hacker, which is essentially her job in real life. And she's got, I hand sculpted a unicorn backpack out of putty. So
love that.
There's Icklehoof. We have my 2 best friends are part of it. Helium, who got Cyber Vampire. And I found this amazing model on My Mini Factory of this futuristic vampire, and she's wearing a denim vest over a hoodie and a pair of leather pants. It was like, oh yeah, that's so friggin' vampire, it's not even funny. That's so cool, Frog. Love the models. Thank you. And all of them are on My Mini Factory, and all of them are from small-time creators, and they're all like $2 to $3 per file.
Amazing.
My other best friend, Waste Control, he's just a regular character, but he ended up with, oh god, what do you have? He's a melee. He's an absolute beast in melee. I don't remember what he got, but we found a model from Popsicles that worked. So he's got kind of a cyber like Street Fighter type look. Hecaton, the guy whose lab rat I was painting this time, he is the unfortunate one this time around. He got the X-ray eyes, and damn it, I can't remember the other one. He got the worst 2 rolls out of anybody else that rolled a character that night. But it worked out well because we figured out. My best friend came into town and we played the first scenario kill sample process together, and we figured out like, okay, if there's 1 inch of terrain between them and their target, then they don't have a problem with shooting at the person, or at least they don't get any negatives or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember what we figured out. There was a way to make it to where he can still get his bonuses and he can still shoot without actually having to see his target. Maybe he had a smart gun.
Oh, yeah, smart gun.
Yeah, I think we gave him the smart gun, and he just basically stood behind a corner and just unloaded the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then the last one was the guy that had absolute the worst stats, but got telekinetic, and so he basically just moved. You know, you got to get the objectives off the table. He literally just moved all the objectives off the table while everybody else dealt with the other problems. So yeah, there was our 5 kill sample process gang. I played a couple games of that. So yeah, it's been an absolute blast just going through this stuff and seeing stuff like the flaws and the feats, coming up with a story, finding models, just random models on my mini factory, and chucking these small time creators a couple of bucks. You know, he's still gonna drunk it all. Yeah, that's right. We did make part of his story, Hecaton, that he always has to have a bottle of whiskey with him. Like he can't go a game without having a drink. So
that's amazing.
Um,
Yeah, that's been one of the joys actually, is seeing people take the games and be creative and look for minis that fit, that kit bash, or finding 3D files they like, creating stories for each of their characters. We have a thread on the Discord that is Rest in Peace, where people just come and tell the stories of their characters and how they died. And
that's great.
Kind of that element of the games, and just seeing people have fun and add their own creativity to it, has been some of the most kind of enjoyable parts.
Yeah.
For me to witness. So yeah, I love watching. Like I said, I watched the stream of you creating the characters for Endless Horror, and I do that all the time. I'm constantly like, when I see someone's covered the games or has played the games on YouTube, whatever, on a stream, I sit and watch it because it's just so fun to watch people like play through the games, or kind of make characters for them or make models for them. That's really an exciting part of getting to create these things.
Yeah, and you got to feel a certain sense of pride in knowing that like you made something and people actually like it. It's not like you made it and nobody gave a shit. You know, it's you made something and people are enjoying it and they're playing it and talking about it and everything else.
Yeah, it was. I went to UK Games Expo, which is our biggest kind of gaming convention this year, and it was the first convention I'd ever been to as a creator. And I was sitting there, didn't think anyone was going to come up to the stall, and so many people came up, and the first people that came up asked me to sign their books and said, and it was really funny because the interaction was literally, they went, "Can you sign my book?" And my response was, because I just didn't understand why someone would ask me that, was why. I was like, why? And they were like, because we'd like your signature in it. I was like, oh, okay, now I understand. I'm an idiot. And then we had a conversation about the game, and it was just this kind of, there was I suppose like almost a sense of awe that these people had bought my thing, come to the Games Expo, and the first store they went to, like the expo opened, and it's like 50,000 people that come, and it's like 400 exhibitors or something ridiculous, and they'd come to find me to have a conversation about the game and get me to sign a thing. And that was just, kind of an overwhelming feeling of just like, oh wow, okay, these people really like this thing I made.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely a bit of pride then as well that people are enjoying it, because that was like the intent when I made these things. And I always set out with the idea that if one person other than me plays this and enjoys it, it was a worthwhile endeavor.
Yeah.
So to have, the core game of Bin Sam has sold quite a few copies at this point. It's like 10,000 copies. Having that many copies of a thing you made out in the wild and people playing it and enjoying it is overwhelmingly positive. It's such a heartwarming feeling.
Yeah.
And I can see the question from Creature. Yeah, it's a little weird as well. I think it's the bit that's the most enjoyable is when someone giggles at a joke I put in. When someone gets the humor is a big kind of boon for me. That makes me smile quite a bit. You see that a lot of that in character creation where someone rolls two things up and then giggles at the combination that they've got.
Yeah, that's especially with the creating the horror. Yeah, because the first one that I got was the I think it was the unspeakable. Oh damn! I'm trying to think. I literally rolled up Pennywise when I did the first, just to test the rules. It was like the unspeakable demon. Yeah, it was the unspeakable demon that wants 99 red balloons, and I was like, I just made Pennywise, and I was like, okay. So then when we rolled up the next one, I was like, okay, that's a lot more interesting.
So spoiler for when you get to play. At the back of the book, I don't know if you've seen that there is a table which, depending on which of the things that your horror wants, if you successfully summon your horror, it tells you how your horror ends the world.
Yes.
And the Comic Sans one again is one of my favorite ones in there because it all the fonts in the world change to Comic Sans and then humanity just gives up.
Yeah.
And that's how the world ends.
Yeah, I hadn't read. I think I opened it up to that part as I was going through, reading through everything, and reading campaign play and everything else, and was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, let me not read the one that we made, so that way I am surprised by it when we get to that point. But yeah, I did read one or two of them, and see something I did. I don't like using AI. I don't like using ChatGPT, OpenAI, or there's one. There's so many of them out there.
The dime a dozen at this point.
I won't use an image generator because I know that the image generators draw specifically on taking essentially other people's artwork, and adapting it. So I won't use that. Any AI help me make my resume? Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. See, we had to take classes on that kind of a thing when I was young. When I was your age, Creature. Back when I was a wee lad. But
on the image generators, I actually pulled out of a project that I'd been commissioned to do some work on because they started using AI. And I didn't know that at the time.
You said, it became in good conscience, I cannot do this.
Yeah, I kind of, it was literally within minutes as well. Like I publicly announced I was doing a thing and someone went, hey, do you know they're using AI? And I was like, okay, cool, I'm out. Just like, yep, nope, sorry, bye-bye. As an artist and a creator, I can't truck with that.
What I did do while I was trying to come up with what does the harrowing infamy look like, I was like, it's such a vague enough term that it could literally look like anything, and at the same time, I was almost spoiled for choice by such an anonymous name. And so it was like, all right, let me go to ChatGPT real quick, and I said, give me a description of a creature that is named the Harrowing Infamy that wants to paint the town red with blood, in the style of a Lovecraftian creature, or in the style of H.P. Lovecraft. And it gave me a description, and I was like, oh yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what it should look like. And it was like, now I just have to figure out a way to make that model without using like an AI generator to make an image for me. But I've since found, well, not since found, there's a creator named Comet Lord. He's on My Mini Factory, and he does some of these. He does very Cthulhu style. It's like Cthulhu meets Dark Souls. And he has these ones called the Faceless, and they're these big, just like big, muscle wrapped automatons with no face and these gigantic friggin' like butcher's cleavers. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what the avatar or the creature itself would look like, is just this big faceless monster with an axe.
Yeah.
Michael
I can-
Paints Minis, thank you for the follow.
There's a wonderful artist who I'm going to get to work on with a future book. I'm just going to put their Instagram in chat. They're not a minis creator, but they draw ink drawings, and some of their creatures and the things they design, I think, are fantastic inspiration for Endless Horrors. They kind of really nail that otherworldly, kind of creepy, slightly
Yes.
human, but in an uncanny valley way creatures. So I definitely like check them out for some inspiration as well, because they are just fantastic artists. I'm actually hoping we were kind of in discussion at the moment about my next project and them coming on board and doing some art for it. So
Okay.
yeah, which is quite exciting because their stuff is fantastic.
Yeah, it's very abstract in that you can kind of
Mhm.
like, you can see an image in there, but like some of these ones where it's like, okay, like I can clearly see that it looks like a woman kind of standing there with robes kind of hanging off of her shoulders. But then like the upper half is just like a mass of like black tentacles with a very clear white triangle just for some reason in the middle. And it's like, okay, that's is it okay to promote Comet Lord? Don't want to step over the line. By all means, we were literally just talking about Comet Lord, Michael Paints. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Comet Lord. I've got a bunch of his files. I've subscribed to his tribe a couple of times to get some of the monthly files. The man does incredible work. Like I can't argue with that at all. So yeah, by all means, if you want to promote him, that is something I'm getting known for, is promoting smaller content creators, and I love that because he's got a Kickstarter going on right now. He does for the is it the Comet Codex, the Codex Comet, something along those lines. I ravenously consume social media throughout the day, but yeah, now I love the art style of this stuff. This Sapro file. Yeah, it's so abstract. It's close enough that you can see an image. It's kind of like looking at a cloud, and you say, "Oh, I see." You know, I can see this this kind of dragon creature, and somebody else is like, "No, it just kind of looks like a bush, actually." And it's like, "Oh, no, it does kind of look like just a bush." So yeah, very nice. I followed them.
Yeah, they're fantastic, and this is some of the joy actually of getting to do these projects, is getting to essentially pay some really great artists to make art for me that I like. And then getting it to put into books and getting to share their art with a wider community as well. Yeah, like Vale's art in Endless Horror just absolutely sells the kind of weird cosmic gods that you're worshipping. And yeah, just absolutely fantastic to get to work with them and you know, make some weird art myself, which is quite fun.
And that's now. Have you ever read? I know it was a big book when I was a kid. I'm 43, so when I was a kid, there was a book series that we would get in the library at school sometimes called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Yes.
Okay. The artwork.
I know of it.
Okay. The artwork in those books and the artwork in Endless Horrors are so similar that I was like, damn, did they get this old artist to come back in and do this or what? Because I mean, it's like they're these very kind of like abstract, but yet still a well-defined image.
Yeah.
So
no, Vil is not the same artist.
Yeah.
But no, Vil is just this. They've done a bunch of artwork for roleplay games. Is where I came across them. They've done some art for a couple of things for the roleplay game Mothership, and their art was just kind of when I was looking for artists, and I'd done some stuff with Vil before. They'd made this amazing Siren art for the new edition of Forbidden Psalm. and a couple of other pieces, and I was like, okay, and working with them was really great. They were really responsive and like just really friendly to talk to.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I definitely want to work with them again.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the other wonderful things about the art and then getting to work with different artists is you get to kind of work out which ones gel with the way I work. Because some artists want a lot of information and want like a big prompt. I quite like working with artists where you can give them an idea and then let them go off and make their own thing. I like it to be this kind of collaborative process. And some artists like that, some don't.
Yeah.
So it's finding ones that kind of work with the style. And Villa is definitely one of those that you can just give them 2 words and they go and make the most amazing thing.
Okay.
And they come back and you're just like, Jesus, that's perfect.
Yeah. Get out of my brain. How did you do this?
Yeah, it's Villa's kind of a magic for that.
So Stephen Gamel is the one that did Scary Stories. His work has inspired a lot of people's work. Yeah, I absolutely believe it because that was like one of the first. Like I'm a horror junkie, and Scary Stories Still in the Dark was definitely the first real experience I had with anything close to horror, and the artwork in that book was nightmare inducing. So yeah, I can see that. Yeah, and that's I've collaborated with 1 or 2 people. I have a sculptor friend named Celia. She does more. Actually, she's done all kinds of stuff. She started with Chibi Miniatures, and working with Ninja Division or Soda Pop Miniatures, the ones that made Super Dungeon Explorer, and they went out of business just recently. But I've worked with her. We designed a model or 2 together. And yeah, she still from time to time and be like, hey, could you do this? Could you sculpt this for me? And she's actually done some World War I based like foot troops and stuff.
Oh, amazing.
And I was just like, those would be perfect for Last War. I've just got to get the rules for Last War, which is also kind of what I think. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, give me an address and I'll get a copy sent to you.
Nah, I'm going to buy it. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. But, well, I do appreciate the offer, but I'm definitely going to buy a copy. Even if you...
Let me at least give a copy as a giveaway for your game that you play for finding Grey. That can be, if you're up for it, that can be your reward for whoever gets the most this year.
Okay, well, we're actually going to do a giveaway stream on Sunday because I hit 250 followers. So,
fantastic!
If you've got like a giveaway key or something like that, I'll do that. I'll include that in there.
I think I may have lost your audio.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you're back. Excellent. Yeah. I can hear you again. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Happy to give away a copy as part of your stream. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'll say we can do a digital copy. I can just send the
I'm
file
happy to
whomever.
Yeah, I can give digital. I'm happy to give a physical too.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do the I tell you what we'll do. I'll put it up as one of the giveaway items, and we'll find out whether they would prefer digital or physical. I prefer digital because I can put them all on my tablet, and then I can have all the books right there with me.
Oh, whoever wins, we can give them both.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So we'll add that to it, and then I've got some Halloween themed miniatures to give away, and I've got some. I'm maybe printing some more this weekend. Because obviously I've got more Lab Rats to print now. I remember getting those books from the school book fair. Good times. Yeah, man. Yeah, back when we were kids. They still have those books specifically at kids' book fairs. So, I think I'm fairly certain I'm done with Hackathon. I think I've done just about all I can. I'm trying to keep these models simple, because working my way through 22 unique models is absolutely time consuming. And I've got people paying me for commissions that I need to get done as well. Well, I don't need to get done. The person paying me for the commissions is like, just get them done whenever you get them done. But it's like, yeah, but I've got like 15 more models to paint for you as well, and I need to get these off my damn desk at some point in time. So, but I did stupidly put myself up to painting all of these models for subscribers. Okay, Helium has a question. Helium, what question do you have, ma'am? Considering we're a bunch of nerds here, do you play video games? And if so, what is your favorite, or what are you currently playing? Good question.
Yeah. Favorite video games. I do play video games. I think my video game playing over the last couple of years has been lessened than what I used to. I used to play quite a lot. Grew up playing a lot of kind of online shooters and things like that. So played a lot of Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead was my kind of go-to game for a very long time with friends. But play a lot of narrative games as well. Some of my favorite games tend to lean more into single-player narrative games. Recently been playing the kind of Amnesia series games, The Bunker, and The Dark Descent. Alien Isolation is probably my favorite game of all time. That game is it's the best Alien thing they made since Alien, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's a scare one right there.
Yeah, it really nails because my issue with everything since Alien is the aliens aren't that scary, and that really nails it and makes them terrifying. And yeah, one of my favorite things I've done. I recently played a lot of Dredge, which is a fishing game of all things. But it's a cosmic horror fishing game.
Yes, you ride around on a boat, right? You ride around almost like a little tugboat.
Yeah, a little tugboat. You go around and just fish for weird, creepy fish. It's just a very relaxing game considering the setting. But had a lot of fun playing that as a nice relaxing game when I was
I saw that.
De-stressing.
I've got a real issue with deep water.
Oh yeah,
I think the first Alien movie was the only one I have seen that was horror. All the others were sci-fi action movies. I hear the most recent one is actually closer to horror than the rest.
It definitely ramps up the horror.
Yeah. Romulus, I think it is.
Yeah, Romulus. It's pretty good. There's a couple of bits in it that unfortunately bring it down a bit, but overall it's a decent movie.
Okay. Helium gifted one sub to Michael Paints Minis. Well, thank you, best friend. Let's let Mariah do the spin. It keeps cutting off. It's so weird. Huh. Oh, I bet you I accidentally shortened the. Yeah, now I have more work to do. Okay, so Michael Paints Minis. I need your favorite color and your preferred class out of melee, ranged, or support, so you can get added to the Lab Rat army. Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I can't complain about people subscribing to the channel. I'm not opposed to making money on stream. So a ranged class, yeah. A ranged class, and what is your favorite color? There is no color that's off limit in the Lab Rats army because we've had just about every color you can think of now added to the army. And if you can't pick a color, then I'll just choose purple because that's my favorite color. Browns and oranges, so an autumn scheme. Fair enough, we will do that. All right, let me add that to the list. And Helium, thank you for showing up, by the way. I was worried that you weren't going to make it. Helium is my best friend. All right, so we've got Michael Paints Minis. What is this? Let's see. We're going to go with Orange, Naranja, and Ranged. All right, cool. Yeah, so we've got pink, we've got green, we've got blue, a lot of purple, black. My other best friend, Waste Control, is going to be orange. Trying to think. I know we've got one or two other colors in there. We got a whole wide of... No problem. I didn't even pick. It was just a random pick. Nice. Woohoo for random sub gifting. Oh, another question. You got another question, Helium. Keep on going.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. This has been a blast, by the way. I was nervous that it was going to be an absolute friggin' disaster, but this has gone way smoother than I anticipated. So, what's the most crazy scenario that you've heard of from your games?
As in the scenario that people play, or scenario that people play as a fed back. I can give both. I think the craziest scenario I've put in the game is probably in the next Halloween expansion that's coming out.
Halloween expansion, you say?
Yeah, so every Halloween I do what's called Dead Festival. So we're up to Dead Festival 4.
Okay.
They are little mini zine expansions, and the next one is coming out relatively soon. I'm just going to open the document actually, so I can tell you all about it.
Here on our stream, Halloween is our favorite 30 days of the year.
Excellent.
We start celebrating October the 1st.
Perfect. Yeah.
I think it was 2021 or 2022. I started streaming a different horror movie every night in Discord. I would just put a horror movie on, open it up in Discord so that anybody who wanted to pop in there could watch. And we watched 30 days of horror movies.
Amazing.
About 90% of the time it was just me by myself, but my friend Helium would get in there with us and have a couple other people in from time to time. But yeah, painting horror themed miniatures and doing, just horror everything. All of my emotes are horror based. Yeah, my character is based off of Herbert West from Reanimator. So, I mean, everything it's all horror all the time over here. I love it.
Yeah. I love that. That's kind of
okay. So you answer Helium's questions about the crazy scenarios. I'm going to be listening on my phone, but I need to get up and stretch and kind of get some water and stuff because it's been pretty near 2 hours now. So I've been sitting in the exact same spot, hunched over the desk the whole time. So I'll be listening from the phone though, so I'll be able to hear you talk about it.
Yeah. So probably my favorite scenario then in the Halloween one is. So the Halloween expansions pull heavily from kind of pop culture. It's one where I can go a bit more mad on the pop culture references. And there is one in the next one where you actually go to a wax museum and your warband have to fight a wax version of themselves. So that's coming up. It's a pretty brutal scenario because obviously you're quite equally matched against your own crew there. So that's one coming up there. And then in terms of kind of scenarios that players have done, there is a creator called Gardens of Hecate. She makes kind of weird and wonderful miniatures, some of the most kind of strange miniatures you can imagine. She's an independent creator, and she did an event where they played Forbidden Psalm. And she played through a campaign of Forbidden Psalm with a friend and wrote it all up. And it's available on her blog. And it's probably my favorite kind of let's play I've had so far of the game. I'm just getting the link to the blog here. You have to scroll down a little bit, but you'll find it on there. Really cool minis. She custom kit bashed all the miniatures as they went along. They kind of, as their characters died and they needed to make new characters, she made them. So a real committed kind of playthrough. So if you scroll, I think it's on page 4 of her blog, you've got the Forbidden Psalm games that she played, and kind of a write-up on how they went, with some fantastic pictures of terrain and the war bands, and yeah, just a really kind of the amount of effort that was put in to playing through my game for her blog was quite extraordinary, really. And it was kind of one of the first like kind of let's plays that I came across of the game. So definitely holds a kind of special place for me. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say definitely check her out. And if you're looking for kind of weird and wonderful minis, I would say check her out as well, because she makes some absolutely fantastic. I think they're available through Ramshackle Games is who does the sculpts for her. Yeah, so the Halloween one's coming out. It'll be available this time next month. We've just done a September one, which is called A Night in the Museum. So this year we've been doing every month a mini zine of expansions for the games. And they're basically 4 or 5 scenarios, some extra content for the games. You can pick them up for a couple of bucks. If you want them in print, they're from Space Penguin Inc. So if you just Google Space Penguin Inc., INK, you'll find them. That's my publisher. Or if you go on DriveThruRPG, you can find them as well. And basically they are, every month we've done one of these little zines. So we've kicked the year off with one called Frozen Psalms, which has a scenario where you get to go and kill the princess from Frozen. Effectively, not quite the same princess, obviously, because of copyright, but it's a very similar story. And then throughout the year, we've released one. The August one was actually adding pirates for Games of Forbidden Psalms. So it has rules for fighting on pirate ships and swashbuckling action and jumping from rigging from one ship to the other, as well as my favorite thing called the Land Shark. You're not even safe on land. And then the one we just did for September was Night in the Museum, which is one where you go into a museum. The creators of the museum have asked you to come in and help them out because they maybe have some cursed items in there. And then the next one is the Halloween expansion. For November, we actually have an expansion for Last War called Trench 71. And then for Christmas, we have one that's called Season's Beatings, which is where you'll be dealing with Santa, Krampus, but also there'll be a table of presents that your characters can roll on. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, depending on whether your characters have been naughty or nice. So yeah, so it's just little things we've been making throughout the year, little fun extras for games that people can pick up if they're interested. And then what we're going to be doing, like comic books, we're going to compile them all into a big single collection, probably towards the end of next year. So if you don't mind waiting, you'll be able to pick that up then. Do I have a normal job, or is this my career? So I, alongside doing this, I work in climate change. My background is actually climate science. I've worked for various charities across my career, from disability charities through to more recently climate-based charities. So I worked for a climate change charity that was around climate education for young people, and then I worked in policy for climate change. And my last role was working for an organization that was actually educating parents and supporting parents dealing with climate change as well. My current other job isn't one. I took a break over the summer. I moved house, and I'm a single parent of 2 kids, so I took a couple of months out of work using the income I get from writing these wonderful little books, and focused on having a bit of time off. So I'm currently exploring whether I want to go back and work in the charity sector. But yeah, I've basically worked in the charity sector my whole career.
Okay.
Interesting or odd question. What would you like for Christmas? What would I like for Christmas? Usually I just like to take some time off and just chill out with the kids. That's my main ask. It's just some time with my kids. But I just moved house and we bought an old Victorian house. This house is like 120 years old, so I'd quite like it not to leak anymore. That's the thing I'll take for Christmas.
That's the dream, I think.
What type of music do I prefer? Metal, punk, classical, kind of a big old mix of different things. Tends to be more in the alternative, not a massive pop fan, but yeah, just a big mix of different ones.
Yeah, that's we created the I got a Spotify premium subscription just so that the viewers can actually pick the playlist. Because I found when I tune into other people's streams, and I watch a lot of streams. I watch more streams than TV at this point. But there's always I'm never generally not fond of the music a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know what? I saw some other people do it. It was like, let's let people pick what they want to listen to, so that way, you know, because I've got very eclectic taste. I'm very big into just if I think it sounds good. It doesn't have to be from a particular genre or anything else like that. So like right now, Vondi is a kind of Japanese kind of funk band.
Nice.
But then I'm also into stuff like Death Clock and things like that, where it's much heavier. So
I can let you, on music side of things, I can let you guys into a little Easter egg on both Kill Some Process and Endless Horrors. So in Kill Some Process, there's a QR code at the back of the book, and it takes you to a playlist on Spotify. And the playlist, all the scenarios in the book, the titles of the scenarios are taken from the songs in that playlist.
Oh, nice.
The other one then is the titles of all the scenarios in Endless Horrors from Between the Stars are the title of songs that I put together into a playlist that I was listening to while writing it. So,
nice.
Just for example, picking one of the songs, "Melt Your Mind" is by a band called Mutoid Man. They're a metal band. And what else have we got there? Prehistoric Dog is by a stoner metal band. Red Fang. Ghouls is by the band Horror Pops. People know who Horror Pops are. So yeah, you can actually go and look up the songs I was listening to while writing those scenarios.
That's
by just
very cool.
putting those titles into Spotify.
I like that. I'll have to.
Yeah, there's lots of little Easter eggs hidden throughout the books, and I think someone found one recently. What was it? I can't remember which one it was, but someone came and asked me about it, and it was like 3 years later after I'd done it. So it's quite fun. It took 3 years for someone to notice it. Yeah.
That can be the fun part about like game design, like video games and stuff. Like some of the video game creators out there, where they put an Easter egg in, and it takes people like 10 years to finally find it.
Yeah.
And it was like, do you think those creators just sit around and go, nobody's ever going to find this damn thing. I shouldn't have made it so hard to find. And then that one scenario hits, and it's like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And
It's
now
always fun when someone gets it eventually.
Yes, yeah. When you have the "I see what you did there" moment. And now let's see. I did. Oh yeah, I was thinking about doing The Last War, playing The Last War a little bit, and possibly doing a scenario with the team from The Last War encountering the cult and see how that plays out.
Nice. I love that idea.
Oh, baby girl.
Making the games compatible with each other was always a big factor as well. I wanted it so that you could effectively take a warband from the Forbidden Psalm, take them into Last War, take them into Kill Some Process, take them into, so you can actually take your warband across. And there is a way the narrative actually functions that serves it as well. I don't want to spoil things, but if you play through the games, you can actually have a warband go through all of the games. Is the idea.
Yes. I did have that kind of spoiled for me, the end of Forbidden Psalm, when I was watching like I said, I wish I could remember the name of the guy's YouTube channel, but the name of his review section where he goes over these independent games is called "Let Me Talk at You."
Yeah.
And yeah, he was talking about it, and he talked about the last scenario, and it was like, no, don't. Oh, damn it! There was no spoiler alert or anything. Also, welcome in, Riot Sister. No, you have not missed our guest. In fact, we are still sitting here chatting. Let's throw that out there.
You're a hobbyist.
Okay.
A hobbyist, not a hobby nest. I mean, I'm a nest of hobbies. I don't. I'm gonna shut up.
Absolutely get fucked. Fuck up with your dragon lore.
That's right.
Get fucked. Anyway. No, I actually do like knowing.
Oh,
Why
Lord.
don't you lick my balls?
Why are we so laggy? Maybe it's because I got Discord running at the same time. Discord causes things to get real weird on stream. Okay. Yeah. No, I did have a question about the rules though.
Yeah, go for it.
Was the armor in Endless Horrors?
Yes.
Because you got light, medium, and you got the three different regular classes, and then you've got the one specific for each genre or time period. There we go. But the armor value for the first one, is it just 1, 2, and 3? That's what their armor values are?
It is. We actually sent out new files yesterday because they're meant to be on there. It was a formatting error.
Okay.
And an eagle-eyed person picked it up. Both myself and my editor both missed that formatting error. This is why we send out the files a couple of weeks before we go to print, because the audience is so good at kind of picking up bits we may have missed, and we want to make sure obviously that the print copy is as perfect as we can make it. So yes, they are 1, 2, and 3 respectively. And like I said, updated files got sent out, so you should have those in your inbox from BackerKit. That have the correct values in there, because they were missing from the version 1 we sent out. So the most up-to-date version is version 1.1.
Yeah, that was the only thing I was like, I'm assuming that it's supposed to be a value of 1, 2, and 3, and then whatever the time period armor is
Right,
like
yeah.
waxed coat specifically. I'm not a big fan of like World War I or World War II games and stuff like that, but the idea of playing this game in that time period really felt good, maybe because of the last war. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's the time period we're going to base this in. We're going to base it in the 1920s during World War One. So we'll do it in the last war genre.
And this is the first game where there has been the option to have different time periods. So all the others have been obviously very specific settings, but with this one I wanted it so people could have the option to set it, as a modern day game. They could set it as a historical fantasy game, or they could do it as a kind of turn of the century. And the turn of the century is the Call of Cthulhu-esque, Lovecraftian stories are set during that period. So it felt necessary to have that time period in the game. But yeah, it was, so that was quite an interesting design challenge as well, around having those different time periods and how you make the different weapons tables and armor, and how you have settings and scenarios that work, in a city or in a forest. So it was quite an interesting design challenge to have that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I liked the idea that you could play in essentially the world of Kill Sample Process or The Last War or Forbidden Psalm, or just in its own separate, kind of universe. It's really clever.
It's been important to me that my games, that you can essentially, because one of the things I'm hoping to do this year, by the end of the year, is essentially now there are, across all the games, there's 100 feats, 100 floors that you could theoretically roll up. So I'm going to put together a compendium, just a digital compendium. So if you want to make a character and roll a D100 and get a floor, a feat, weapons. I'm essentially going to pull all the tables together from across all the different games and put them into one document for people.
Okay.
As a fun little, like, if you want to make the most insane possible combination character, you can.
Now, that
yeah.
would be a fun way to do, using that format of all of the stuff from all of the books compiled into one. I know a big thing right now in films is multiverse bullshit.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of fun to do like a multiverse. You've got a cyber vampire from Kill Simple Process, and then you've got a cult leader, and one of the trench witch, all in a group together. That would be really fun to do that kind of thing.
Yeah. You definitely look at doing that kind of thing. Yeah, I think it's just also fun for people, because I know a big element of the enjoyment of the games is rolling on those tables, and creating like the craziest combos you can. And yeah, I think having a big 100-long table that you roll on could be quite a fun
that would be pretty
thing for players. Yeah.
Let's
but yeah, so there's other things planned for the future as well, of course.
Yeah. Now I hadn't looked into I think I saw something about the pirate expansion, but I don't think it registered that it was one you had done, because I think I've seen one or two little supplements done by other people.
Yes, there are other people that have made content for the games as well, which has been fantastic. And I think earlier Rhinoc actually joined the chat, who has made some content, if it's the same Rhinoc, for the games as well. And there are other creators that have done the same thing.
Okay.
Which is like quite humbling that there are people that have made content for my game.
Yeah.
It's quite a fun, amazing thing that people have done that. Yeah, so there's there's a wealth of content, and the idea being that people, like you said, World War I, World War II doesn't appeal to you as much as other settings, as the cyberpunk, and that's kind of the idea, is that like I kind of want it that there's going to be a setting that you like, and you don't have to play them all, and you can just cherry pick the themes that appeal to you the most. Because there are games I've written that appeal to me less than other games I've written. The Endless Horror, probably the one I've just done, is the setting that's the most appealing to me, of all the games. And yeah, I'm not as big of a historical guy, so the World War I Last War was quite fun to write. I really enjoyed making it, really enjoyed playtesting it and putting it together. But it's I'm less drawn to historical games as well. So if I had to pick one of my own games off the shelf to play, I'm probably picking Endless Horror before I pick one of the others at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, I like, because I think I said, I've said in posts and stuff like that about playing as the bad guys, but it's also one of those things where it's subjective. Are they really the bad guys? I mean, don't necessarily, just because they want to end the world doesn't make them the bad guys. I mean, what's the motivation behind ending the world? There's where it says in there about ending the world and making it anew, and it's like, they just want to start everything over again because everything's so borked at this point in time. So I like that. It is kind of subjective.
Yeah, and that's kind of, it's people say, someone asked me once, where does the inspiration for the games come from? I've spent the last 10 years working on climate change, so it's no surprise I've been writing games about the end of the world. It's kind of that thing of like, actually, if you look at the modern world, there's quite a few things going wrong, and there are definitely people out there that are like, hey, is there a reset button? Is there something we can do to like restart this stuff?
There is no reset button, but if there was one, and this was the way that we reset, would you be willing to do that? Would you be willing to end the world to reset everything?
Exactly. There are definitely some people in the cults that are true believers of these endless horrors, and there's others that are just like, do you know what? I just kind of wanna, I just want to restart this whole thing.
Oh, Tweety Verde 777, thank you for the follow. I've got more follows in this stream than I did last month.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a plus. And MD requested Plastic Love by Maria Takeuchi. You got it. MD, that's me, has this weird fascination with like 1970s Japanese disco. And honestly, it's grown on me. Like, it really is. I'm like, man, this is not a bad little bop to just drive around to. So let's throw that in the queue as well. Oh man. Yeah, I appreciate that, Tweety Verde. Yeah, we're just, like I said, we're in here chatting with Will from Forbidden Psalm and just kind of casually working on. We've completed one lab rat and we are moving on to the next one. We're working on Creature, who is more like a zombie lab rat than an actual, or a cyber zombie, I guess. I don't know. The word creature came to mind, and I found a whole bunch of random bits of claws and metallic parts and things, and just kind of slapped him. How am I doing today? I am doing fantastic. How are you doing? He thinks I'm a 68-year-old Asian woman, but I'm not. I mean, you haven't given me any proof to say otherwise, so... And so you can't prove a negative. If there's no proof, then what I say is true. You lied to me. Yeah, there was I'd asked somebody else before this whole thing had come about, and probably even before Endless Hoarders came out. I have a real bad habit. Well, not as bad as it used to be, but I do have a bad habit of backing Kickstarters and then forgetting about them. Mm-hmm. And then I'll get an email and be like, "Hey, your Kickstarter content is on the way." And I'm like, "What Kickstarter content is on the way?" And look it up. Oh, that's right, I did back that, didn't I? But I'm doing pretty good so far. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Absolutely. Well, you know, we care about our lab rats here in Frogenstein's lab. We want to make sure that everybody is well, everybody is healthy, everybody is in a good mind state and feels comfortable here. We don't tolerate people being rude. We got some rude channel point redemptions. I can't help that. Got to keep it entertaining, but we don't allow people to be rude to each other, and we don't allow any form of discrimination. So it's about the only real rules. The real rules are don't be a dickhead. But yeah, I had spoken with another streamer, because I was like, how hard do you think it would be to get a license for a game that actually there is an IP for? It's a dead game. I don't think anything's been done with it in 20 years. But the company that created it still owns it. And I'm like, I wonder if I could talk them out of that. Or if I could, but we still nice, be kind to others, just be mindful. That's all that matters. Exactly. That's all you gotta do. There's enough dicks in the world, so there's no reason to be a dick in here.
Yep.
This is our nice little cozy corner of Twitch. But, I've only backed one Kickstarter campaign that I recall, and that was for the Miskatonic School for Girls board game, card game. Demon Seed. A guy that lives up the street from me backed that and brought it over to the house, and we played that, and it is a fantastic game. I found a copy in a local store that I should have got while I had the chance, because it was $20. Have you heard of that one, Will?
No, that's a new one to me.
Miskatonic's School for Girls. It's a board game that takes place, obviously Miskatonic, being the Miskatonic University from all the Lovecraft books. But it's like MISS space Catonics School for Girls. And you play as different students in the school trying to, I wish there were more cards for it. Yeah, because it only got just the initial release. It never got any expansions. Actually, there is an expansion for it. But, yeah, it's kind of like all of the teachers and stuff might be Eldritch Horrors in disguise. and it's kind of trying to make it through the school year without going insane or getting killed.
Yeah.
It's a pretty interesting little game. It was very fun.
That's great.
Yeah, I did play that. But there was a game that came out when I was working in a hobby shop back in the early 2000s, called Fairy Meat. And the point of the game, it's played on a 1-1 scale, so your models are, if it's an inch tall or 50 millimeters tall, that's how big the actual character is. And so you can play on a dinner table, you can play on your painting desk, you can play anywhere because it takes place in the real world. And the premise behind it, I know, MD, that you don't like this idea, but the premise behind it is that there was a fairy who fell asleep one day after eating a mushroom, fell asleep under the mushroom, and when they woke up, they were covered in blood and guts, and they had killed and eaten another fairy while they were hallucinating.
Wow.
And horrified with what they'd done, but then realized that they had become more powerful. So it's kind of a Highlander situation of all of the fairies are trying to kill and cannibalize each other in order to become the most powerful. Don't head out, but it was a great stream. Thank you for chatting with us. It was super fun, and I feel like we were talking to a celebrity. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I felt the same way. I absolutely freaked out when Will asked if I wanted him to come on chat.
Yeah, I'm just some dude in Wales, man. I'm definitely not a celebrity.
But yeah, the premise behind the game is kind of disturbing. The idea of fairies mercilessly slaughtering each other and eating each other. But it does have that dark sense of humor like Endless Horrors has. And it was like, I really loved the game. I loved the rules. I loved the idea of everything being to scale. And you could do stuff like you'd have thralls that were like wild animals, so like squirrels and rabbits and stuff like that. So you would have to find like a rabbit model that was the actual size of a rabbit to use on the table. And yeah, they haven't done anything with it since 2003 probably. And I was like, do you think the company would come up off those rules? Also, it used cards instead of dice, which I'm also a big fan of when people use an alternate system. And the guy was like,
on that, the fun thing about game design is mechanics can't be copyrighted. So you can copyright setting and theme, but mechanics, you can't really copyright them. So you can take a mechanic from a game you like and basically use that mechanic, as long as you don't use the setting. So it's the setting is where you get into hot water if you take and start using.
And that's exactly what the other guy had said. He was like, he had said almost exactly that. And he was like, so you could do a 1-1 scale game and you could use the mechanics of using, because you use a deck, like a proper deck of poker cards. And everything's determined with those cards by playing different hands and so forth. Not like an actual game of poker, but like to attack, if you've got a 5 attack, that means you draw 5 cards. I've got a 4 defense, I draw 4 cards, and now you can play those as 5 single attacks, or you could put 2 cards together to make the number bigger, to make it a more powerful attack. And basically, yeah, everything, initiative order and everything else was all picked with cards. And he was like, yeah, you can still do that. And you can do that it's on a 1-1 scale and everything else. You just cannot use like the name Fairy Meat or that particular setting. And it was like, oh, okay. And I was like, because I would change it, maybe not do cannibalism. Cannibalism seems to make a lot of people uncomfortable. Like the minute you bring cannibalism up, everybody's like, oh, whoa. So
yeah,
maybe change that concept to something else. Maybe it's just that in the event that they kill another fey creature, they gain their power, and that way you don't have to you don't have to delve into the cannibalism aspect. As funny as I found it,
I think that's where a good content warning can come in, like the one in Endless Horror, where I purposely went into some themes that I haven't previously dealt with in games,
Yeah.
and because it, these are cults. They are kind of worshipping these awful deities that are making them do not necessarily nice things, and it narratively made sense that certain things had to be in the game, but those things can be a bit unpalatable for audiences. So hence why like we really spent time thinking about the wording of that content warning, making sure that it was, that it covered what's in the game, that it gave people a clear, indication of like this is what's in this game,
Yeah.
but also gave a clear, sounding for people of, hey, if you don't like these things, just leave them out. This is your game. You can choose not to use these things.
Yeah.
If you roll one of the Endless Horrors that has this, just re-roll. It was really important for us that players felt kind of emboldened to make this game theirs and take out stuff that they didn't like,
Yeah.
or that was upsetting to them, or if it's just not a theme they can deal with, then there may be a thing to play a different game. Yeah, so I think you can definitely, I've seen games deal with cannibalism, seen with self-sacrifice, with things like that. I think it's how you handle those themes.
Yeah.
Is
Makes
really
sense.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a very, the people that played it with me had a great time. The problem is that it never, and that was back, internet was still essentially dial up at that point in time. So having anything higher than dial up, it was the Web.0 era. So yeah, we had gotten just past dial up speeds on the internet. So there was no YouTube, there was no real social media unless you went to somebody's blog and read about it. So it was really, back then I remember games, it was a lot harder for games to come out. To get like a full release or anything like that. You'd read about games, new tabletop games or new board games in like Dragon Magazine or Dungeon Magazine, and then you'd never hear anything else about it because there was no call for it because nobody knew what the hell it was. So
yeah, the modern day is much, and these my games would not be anywhere near the level of success I've had it not been for the internet and kind of being able to get it out to people and people on YouTube covering it and things like that. So it's been, yeah, I think now, now is a kind of a golden opportunity to be making things and getting them out to people.
Yeah.
Talking of making things, would you like an insight into what's coming next?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent, cool. So yeah, so we've got quite a few projects in the works. I'm always working on multiple projects. But the kind of the big ones coming is in the new year we've got Childhood, which is the kid-friendly version of Forbidden Psalm.
Okay.
Where you play as children in the 90s, having a 90s childhood, and you go on a summer adventure, in effect. Your warband is 4 kids in your club, so we're dropping the club size down. The mechanics work slightly different, so we're changing some core mechanics. One of the big ones is you no longer get 1 activation per club member or per crew member. Instead, your crew has what we call mood, which is like a pool that you can use to activate kids, and you can activate the same kid multiple times.
Okay.
So the higher mood your club has, the more you can activate, basically.
Okay.
So it's switching the game up a bit, a little bit different mechanics. How some of the creatures work is going to be quite different, and we've kind of messed around with the core rules a little bit for that one. You also don't get flaws and feats anymore. You just get backgrounds. There's a D100 table of backgrounds that you roll on for your kids. And some of them are absolutely ludicrous and insane. One of them is that your parents were cult leaders, for example. And there's other ones in there as well. But the idea with that game is that we wanted one that was thematically a bit more kid-friendly. I'm actually writing that with a Finnish author, a writer, Alex, who is one of the creative leads on the 28 mag, if you know what that is.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's coming. That's going to be one of the first things in the new year. We've then got the game is called Legitimate Salvage,
Okay.
and it's the sci-fi version of Forbidden Psalm. Again, we're approaching that one a bit differently, where the core rules is going to be quite a small book, and then we're going to come out periodically with ships that you go in and space stations that you go and salvage. Hence the term Legitimate Salvage. So we're hoping to release a couple. The first one's called Mara, Project Mara, and it's this big space station that we've laid out that you can go and have adventures on. And like I said, that's a sci-fi one. It's kind of corporate horror in the sense of you are lackeys working for this intergalactic corporation. You know, you're in debt to them. You've got to go and salvage this thing. There's a whole mechanic in there where you get danger pay, but you only get danger pay if one of your crew die. It wasn't that dangerous if nobody died. So
It's oh god, what is it? What is that game? It was a video game that came out not too long ago. Bad Company.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very so. Legitimate Salvage has been in the works for 2 years, and I've been
Okay.
talking about it for 2 years. So it's funny because people have gone, "Oh, it's influenced by this," and I'm like, not quite. It was kind of in the works before, but I have played that, and it was like, oh, yeah, this is great. I can definitely take some inspiration from here.
Yeah.
That game is fantastic, real good fun to play with friends, and yeah, this is kind of that same vein of like corporate horror. You know, you are just peons working for a company that does not care about you, and you're just trying to make
The
money.
big faceless organization.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
So the first one of that is you're on the Mara station and you're having to try and salvage it and work out why it was derelict and things.
Okay.
And then there'll be new ships as we go along. A little bit space hulky thrown in as well in terms of finding old derelict ships and exploring them and finding horrors and things that are on them.
I love the idea, not specifically like the game Space Hulk, but the idea of like coming across just this big mass of space debris. There's chunks of asteroids and ruined ships and just all kinds of random stuff in there, because it lends very much to being able to create. I like world building. So the idea of having this area that you could go to that's literally like 1 second or one area of the board, you're inside of like a spaceship, and then go through one of the doors and it's just a bunch of like rock tunnels and stuff like that attached to it, areas that have been overgrown with some kind of alien virus and all that kind of stuff. I love ideas like that.
Yeah, and that's kind of the idea behind that game, Legitimate Salvage. It's an opportunity for me then to explore the areas of sci-fi that I particularly like, and essentially release lots of different modules for people as well. So you can play through a campaign, and then if your crew survived and they've made some money, maybe they go off and do the next one. And yeah, definitely there'll be some planetary stuff. There's going to be some stuff with asteroids. We've got some plans for different ships and why those ships might be floating derelict in space. Okay. But you work for a company called Research and Rescue, who started off as like a company that would go out and rescue ships when they got into trouble in deep space, and then they've now just become a completely corporate salvage operation. Okay. They literally just find derelict things and try and strip any worth and value out of them. Okay. Then the other thing we've got coming is actually a role-play game called Run for the Dark, which is a folk horror role-play game that I'm currently writing. I just did the article for that this week. And then towards the end of next year, we have 2 projects that are kind of in early work stages. One of which is essentially the zombies version of Forbidden Psalm. So this is going to be your, Walking Dead-esque. The zombies are here, and your warbands have to essentially build kind of a commune that's trying to survive. It's using the Forbidden Psalm rules, but again, massive changes in terms of how the game functions and works. So one of the things around, there's no stores to buy things in. It is entirely what you salvage. Your crew can be infected. And one of the things you can do if you get bitten is you can chop off a limb to try and stave off the infection. there is
which
mechanics
we all
in the
know
game.
never works.
Nope, probably won't work, but you can definitely try it. There's a whole mechanic in there where you start the game with more people that's in your crew, and
Yeah.
as your people die, you diminish that number, and eventually you just run out of people if everybody dies.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a future one. The zombie. It's called the Longest Night, and that'll be coming towards the end of next year as well, if all
Okay.
goes to plan. So yeah, the big mechanic in that is essentially the way the zombies work in that game is you start off the scenario and there are maybe a handful of zombies on the map. You're there to salvage. You're there to search for things or something along those lines. You're doing some sort of objective, and every time you search, if you fail a search roll, you increase the noise counter by 1. And every time you fire a gun, you increase the noise counter by 1. And then that noise counter is how many more zombies you spawn at the end of the round.
Okay. Yeah, tracking the
And then-
zombies to your location. Okay.
Yeah, so you're slowly getting overwhelmed. And the idea is that by the end, round 5 or 6 of the scenario, your guys are like, right, we've got to get out of here. We're going to be overwhelmed and we're going to get killed here. So yeah, it's got that kind of growing threat mechanic
I like that.
to the game. So yeah, that'll be coming towards the end of next year as well. So there's a few different projects in the works as always. Oh, and then the other one is working. So this is not a Forbidden Psalm game. This is another Minjas game. It's currently in playtest, which is. Did you guys know the Blaster magazine? Have you come across Blaster before?
I don't think so.
So Blaster is really cool. It's a magazine made by a company called Blaster, and what they do is they put together a Minjas game into this magazine. Sometimes it's a couple of different games, and they put it out. And they've put some games out for some amazing creators. So the creator of Frostgrave has had a game in there. Ash from Guerrilla Miniature Games put a mech game, I believe, was the one in there. They've just had another mech game come out, Spludge, which was similar to Turnip. For those that knows those games, that was in one.
Turnip, is it Turnip 28 or 78?
28, yeah, Turnip 28, yeah.
There we go.
So Blaster is this really cool magazine that basically puts out a rule system. So I'm working with them, and we've created a game called Dark Ages of Anwin, which it's a game set just after essentially the Roman Empire has left Britain, and it's set in Wales after the Empire has left, and each village has to survive till winter. So it's a kind of more rank and file game. So your force will be made up of about 25 minis, because you play with 5 units of 4 to 5 people. And you can have melee, you can have ranged, but the big mechanical difference in that game is that your units have degrading dice. So you have a dice value that's based on their training. So that could be a D10, it could be a D8, it could be a D6. And then as they get weakened throughout the combat, their dice degrades. So they might start off with a higher dice, like a D12, which gives them a higher chance to hit and do things. And then as they take damage, their dice degrades. So they lose character, they lose guys from the warband, and they get tired, and the dice degrade. So it's got this degrading dice mechanic. So we're playtesting at the moment because it's quite a new, different kind of mechanic that we're approaching the game with. And yeah, there's a Blaster Discord where they're currently in the playtest phase of that game. So that'll be coming, I think February next year, I think is when that's coming out. So
I do like I like the idea of basically the units getting exhausted as the game goes on, because I mean that they would.
Yeah, that was a kind of a big thinking about how I would approach a larger scale war game, particularly kind of a more historical medieval game, I guess. I really wanted to have that idea that you could keep ordering a unit. You could get a unit to do more and more things, but the more you get them to do, the more tired they get. And eventually they're just so tired that all they can do is take a rest. And that's a big thing. But the other thing in that game is because it's called the Dark Ages of Anwin, it's very much pulling from Welsh folklore. So there'll be Welsh folklore creatures in the game, and if your hero unit, your leader kills one, they become legendary. So there's a whole thing about your hero trying to become kind of a character in a saga of their own, and they're trying to kill legendary beasties to do that, as well as you are literally trying to find food to survive the winter. So you're, one of the scenarios you literally go and try and capture some angry sheep, because you need food. And yeah, so that's
Okay.
the
Yeah,
that's the
I
setting.
don't. There are so many. When you said about Welsh folklore, that is one of those that I don't know very many. I don't know very many folk tales from Welsh. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Wales to begin with, but other than the serious lack of vowels and words, but and my cousin speaks Welsh, but
Oh, amazing.
yeah, I think he had to learn it for school. I don't know
Yeah,
if he
it's
had to learn it for school or if he just wanted to learn it, but
it is compulsory here in our schools.
okay.
Yeah, so my kids are both Welsh speaking, for example. And yeah, the one of the reasons you don't know a lot about Welsh folklore is you actually do. You'll surprise yourself by how much Welsh folklore you know. You just think that it's English, because what happened was England had a policy when the Saxons came in, and over time, of conquering the Scots, conquering the Irish, and assimilating the Welsh. So there was
Yeah.
this principle of take the Welsh folklore, take their stories, take it, and make it English. So Arthurian legends are Welsh legends. They
Okay.
just became English over time. So Arthur was a Bretonian or a Welsh king who fought against the Saxons. He wasn't a Saxon. And the English are descendants of the Saxons. So it's not an English myth, it's originally a Welsh myth. He fought against the English.
Okay.
So it was an active campaign to take Welsh folklore and creatures and legends and make them English. And that was a thing that was done
kind of the
over time.
was it Roman to Greek? Is it?
Yeah,
Or,
absolutely.
along the same
Yeah.
lines.
So there's a lot of Welsh folklores that if you actually read them, you'd be like, oh, I know this story. Why do I know this story? And it's like, oh, it's because it's just had an English retelling.
Okay. That's the
And yeah.
Have you seen the film The Green Knight?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's because
Very.
you hear people when they talk about like the Arthurian legend, and they say like, oh, Sir Gawain, and it's like it's actually not pronounced as Gawain.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like Garwin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that movie did a really good depiction, and I assume that would also essentially then be from Welsh folklore because it's part of the Arthurian legends.
Yeah, so it's pulled from. So it's interesting because we might say Welsh, but it's more British folklore, but before the Saxons came in, because
Yeah.
who the Welsh are, they were the Bretonians. They were the people that kind of were spread across the whole of the UK, but they got pushed back into Wales when the Saxons came in and took territory. And same with the Scots, and same with the Irish. Those people would have been spread across the whole of the UK and across other Celtic regions like the Basque region in France and Spain, and then kind of that territory there. Anywhere where you had like Celtic people, they were essentially one people split into smaller subsections, but they were ethnically a group. And then the Saxons came in from kind of your German region and pushed them into smaller pockets.
Okay.
So it's hard to say if it was where some of these legends came from. Did they come from a territory that is now Wales or a territory that was now in England, but the people that had that legend got pushed into Wales? It's some of it isn't quite that clear.
So it's best to just say British folklore, possibly.
Yeah, kind of like pre-Saxon folklore type thing.
Yeah.
Is a good way of determining and kind of distinguishing between the periods.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
I've got a demon seed dancing to the Pixies. Can't go wrong with the Pixies, my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the my daughter has a real I don't want to say fascination, but she really enjoys reading about the folklore and the mythology of other cultures.
Mm-hmm.
A buddy of mine sent me a book that it's got to weigh every bit of about 5 pounds. It's just the thickest book I've ever seen, just full of like each different culture's mythology, from Egypt to the Aztecs, the Mayans, ancient Chinese mythology and stuff like that. And it's just fascinating, and it you wish you could see more of this stuff. At least I always look at everything from a tabletop perspective, and I'm always like, why aren't there more factions in games that are based around Mesoamerican themed mythology? Just because of like how strange the stories seem, the myths about like how they've had 5 different versions of the sun with Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca and all these kind of things like this, and it's like, where's all that kind of representation in tabletop games? You don't see that very often.
Yeah, completely. And I think that's the thing, is that some of these more kind of unknown or less explored folklore are rich tapestries for interesting things, like the traditional Welsh folk creatures and some of the monsters and beasties that are in Forbidden Psalm games. They're some of the more interesting ones to encounter because they're not so well known. I mean, if you're fighting a zombie, well, you've probably fought a zombie before. If you're fighting something called the Avank, which is a cross between a giant beaver and crocodile, you've probably not come across something like that before.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a little bit more interesting and new to fight against.
Yeah. There was another movie. You've got one creature in Endless Horrors. It's like a centaur.
Yes, the natural horror. Yeah.
The natural horror. There we go. God, what is the name of that movie?
Is it The Ritual?
Yes, thank you. The Ritual. Yes.
Yes.
Like, I looked at that picture and was like, this looks just like the Jotun from The Ritual.
Yeah.
Where it's like a big giant centaur kind of made out of body parts.
Yeah. So again, interestingly, that was one where I said to Bill, like, I want you to draw me a natural horror, and I didn't give it any other prompt, and that's what they came back with. And I don't know how much of it was influenced by the Jotun from The Ritual, or how much of it was just their own take on what a natural horror was. I should ask them, really, but yeah, it was just this fantastic piece of art. It's probably actually my favorite piece of art in the book. That or the Cosmic Zombie. Which is also another fantastic piece of art they did.
I do like the Cosmic Zombie, and that looks like the cover of a 1980s horror movie.
Right, that's kind of
the black and white with like just the red and the other colors going up into the sky.
Yeah, it's almost like very Thing-esque. You could see that as a Thing poster kind of thing.
Yes, definitely.
With it having multiple skulls, and yeah, that piece of art, just when it came across, I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Yeah, Bill really nailed the creatures in this as well. Like even just the oceanic horror, like there being tiny sharks swimming next to it to give you a sense of scale.
Yes, which once again falls into that area of I have a deep-seated fear of not being able to see in water. Crystal clear water doesn't bother me so much. Pools and like going to somewhere like Hawaii where you can see what's below you. Yes, Demon Seed also. Yes, that was an awesome movie. But it's stuff like the lakes, where there could be something under that water that's going to get you at any second. That's where the fear kicks in. And so when I see stuff like that, when I see stuff like the oceanic horror, and it's like, oh, look, it's kind of like a fish with arms and legs. And you're like, oh, look at the little fish swimming next to it. Oh, wait, no, those are sharks. Son of a bitch, this thing's gigantic. That is where that primal fear I have of the ocean and dark water comes in. So, those kind of things do scare me. Yeah, no. It's definitely not. Thalassophobia is definitely not an irrational fear.
No, as someone who, so I mentioned someone asked what I do for a career, and I mentioned that I've got a background in climate science. My degree was climate science and oceanography, so I actually studied the oceans,
Okay.
and find them fascinating, but also terrifying in equal measure. You know, the fact that there are parts of the ocean that you can take Mount Everest, you can put it in, and you wouldn't see the tip,
Yeah.
is a pretty amazing kind of idea that there's that much just depth of water and just how little of it we've truly explored.
Yes.
Is fascinating.
And that's the there was a picture in an old Dungeons and Dragons book. I believe it was third edition Dungeons and Dragons when it got to the section about the deities and demigods.
Hmm.
And there was one for Neptune or whoever the let's see, hold on. Frankenstein, are you the type of person that freaks out when there's seaweed on their foot in the ocean? I don't freak out when there's seaweed on my foot in the ocean because I don't go to the fucking ocean. Because it's just, no thanks. Hard pass. I also don't like the stench of salt and rotting fish and bird shit. So I avoid the ocean when I can. But, yeah, there was a picture of Neptune or Poseidon, whichever one it was supposed to be. And it just looks like your typical bearded, Greek man, crown made of shells, so forth and so on, big trident. And he has his hand out like he's offering you something. And then you look in the palm of his hand, and there is a blue whale or a humpback whale, and it barely comes across the palm of his hand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that guy is enormous and just sitting under the water, and he could be real and he could be down there and we would never know. And it's just like the panic sets in, and I'm like, all right, it's just a picture in a book. Calm down. He's not coming to get you. So yeah, all those the idea of oceanic horrors, I'm like, oh god, unsettling, very unsettling.
Yeah, I think it was so I'm of the opposite where I see that kind of stuff and I'm just fully drawn to it, having studied the oceans and kind of learned about it. I actually have a map up of that I'm putting up, sorry, in the new house of all the kind of topography of the actual oceans that I used during my degree. Yeah, just the sheer depth of it and the sheer like unknown nature and the fact that we know based on kind of some mathematical formulas that there are large things in the ocean we've yet to discover. We know there are large creatures in there that probably exist. There'll be some species of giant squid that we've yet to come across, for example.
Yeah.
Because you tend to get subspecies. We've only encountered a couple of giant squids in our time. We know they're down there. We know they live in the oceans. We know there will be species of those that we've yet to identify.
Yeah.
Stuff like that I love, was I can also understand why you say to someone, oh, there are giant squid on the planet that we don't even know what they are.
Yeah.
And they go, fuck that. I'm not going in the oceans.
Yeah. What if one of those decides that he's going to come up to the surface right now? Yeah, that's the.
Yeah.
Give me 2 random eye colors. Generally, when I think of random eye colors, I usually think of blue and brown.
Yeah.
Are you working on your sketch for Todd, the leader of the cult? MD is our resident artist.
Oh, excellent.
She usually draws while she's listening to stream, and she's working on, based on the information we do have about Todd, she's been working on a sketch of him.
I'm here for this.
I may have to see. I found some really good cultist models on My Mini Factory, and their summer sale was going on, so I had to scoop them up. But yeah, it's a nice little collection of like robe bodies, hooded heads, kind of lighter armor and stuff like that. Some of them have no shoes on. There's like a few mutations, but they're very minor mutations. There's like a guy who the top of his head is a mouth, and just little things like that, but they're not. Blue and brown. Also, I'm finishing his face, so that's why I was asking. Okay. But yeah, just they would work very well for both Forbidden Psalm or Endless Horrors, and so I was like, oh, I've got to scoop these up so I can put this cult together and at least have them together and figure out some time to actually sit down and play. I need some terrain, though. I need to work out a way to get some terrain, because unfortunately the problem is we're limited on space here in this house. The best thing I've found so far is the God, what's the name of the company? I've got a box of terrain from them under my desk right now, and it's all like cardboard.
Yeah.
Damn it, Battle Systems. There we go. Yeah. Battle Systems terrain works out really well because it comes with a 2x2 mat in the box.
Yeah.
So it's like that works out perfectly because that's how big the games are. And I actually figured out when it might have been the day, the stream before we did the cult creation stream. My painting desk is 2x2, like the area that I've got to work in. You guys can't see how big it is, but I've got a 2x2 space. I was like, I could move my camera up high enough and have a top-down view of the table and play on stream and set up. I've got a couple of extra cameras that I could set up to film from different angles of the tabletop and play on stream. But I would also need like several hours without the kids home in order to be able to do that.
That is fair.
So it's an idea. It's an idea that hangs in the back of my brain right now. So, okay, chat, Frog and Will, time for the senior citizen to get a snack and go to bed. I honestly enjoyed my time tonight, and we enjoyed having you here tonight, Joe. I greatly appreciate it, and I appreciate the follow. So hopefully we'll see you again. I stream Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights, usually starting around 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, and kind of go till 11. I don't have to work tomorrow, so I took a vacation day. I took a religious holiday for Friday the 13th, so we'll.
I love it.
I can go for a little bit longer.
I will probably have to jump soon as it is 4:30 in the morning here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have to get up at 7 to get my eldest kid to college. So.
Oh goodness. Well.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a whole whopping 7 minutes, and then I'll
Sounds great.
raid on into somebody and get out of here. Yeah, and you can go whenever you need to. It's not a problem because.
Oh, I can hang for another 7 minutes.
Okay.
Sure.
I've got to I've got to be up at around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning to get up with my kids so they can start getting ready for school. So. You don't? Yes, I do, MD. Yes, I do. I do have to go to bed, and you can't keep fighting me on this. I need to sleep at some point in time. I have the day off tomorrow. I'm actually thinking about running the stream tomorrow while the kids are at school. They only have a half day. And I was like, you know what? I may get up and stream in the morning and just kind of sit here and enjoy my coffee and just chill out and, I don't know, put models together, or I don't really play games on stream. Generally play video games to be left alone, so it's hard to want to stream a game. Oh man, you know what? I think I'm just gonna call it. My eyes are starting to get a little wonky, honestly. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not sweating getting to that 3-hour mark for the stream. It's fine. And there will be more streams coming up during the daytime. The weekend before my birthday, which will be the 27th, I'm taking off of work. My birthday's on the 29th, which is a Sunday, so we'll do a Sunday night birthday stream. But the 27th, I'll be taking that Friday off, and I may do if the kids are in school all day that day, I may do a longer stream. I may spend 6 hours or so streaming. But, okay. So let's shut down the music and let's find somebody to raid into. Hopefully there's somebody we know is still streaming right now. And we'll take all these lab rats and we'll go invade somebody. But,
that's great.
Yeah, thank you, Will, for being here. I appreciate this. This has been just an absolute blast. It has been a fun time. Let's see. Riot. Well, Riot Sister streaming, and I don't think we've ever raided into Riot Sister. So let's do that. Let's go on over there. But
That's great. Thank you all for listening and questions, and it's been great fun.
I muted my microphone and then unmuted my microphone and then coughed. Son of a bitch. Yep. But yeah. You guys make sure, link at the top of the stream there if you want to go over and look at any of the Forbidden Psalm stuff. Will has generously offered to donate a copy of one of the games for the Sunday giveaway stream. I'll just put a picture of it up on screen, and then we'll work out from there if somebody wins. So we'll be doing 3 different items to give away on Sunday stream. And let's go ahead and get this raid train a moving so we can all get some rest. All right. Yeah, absolutely, Demon Seed. Tonight has been a very eventful. I got 2 lab rats done in one stream tonight. It was moving along in such a nice clip. So, all right, let's find Riot Sister, and we're gonna get the hell on out of here. Where is Riot Sister? There's Riot Sister. All right, lab rats. So remember, come back on Sunday. If you see me streaming tomorrow morning, feel free to pop in, but you're not obligated. I'm just going to be kind of chilling out, having coffee, and just dicking about. But yeah, come back on Sunday. Will, thank you for everything. It's been awesome. And
yeah, it's been great.
Until next time, lab rats.
Hey, Carol. Bye.
All right.